Hey there, Comic Clan. Welcome to Comics in the Cross, the greatest streamers you have never heard of. I, of course, am always your host, Cross, and I am once again joined by my beautiful co-host, Nitro. Nitro,
What's up?
he's back. He's
How's it
here.
going?
He's alive. We're all grateful for that. We've got a bunch of people in chat already. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. For those that came in early, we start... for anyone who's catching up with us on YouTube, we're going to start going a little bit earlier on Twitch and just like talking, shooting the breeze, just chatting about everything and anything. And that's going to be stuff specifically just before we kick off on Twitch, just to connect with everyone. I'm sure the answer is no, but are you watching Hand Egg today, Comics Across?
Hand egg.
No, I am not watching Hand Egg today.
What is hand egg?
It's what Americans call football.
Oh.
But what the rest of the world calls American football, because the rest of the world's football makes sense, because you kick it with your foot and it's a ball shape.
Oh, don't be bitter. Don't be bitter.
You are literally the only ones that call it football.
That's because we make our own rules.
Yes, you do. Americans make their own rules, and the rest of the world goes, yeah, whatever, just stay on your own bit of place.
It's worked out good
but
for
no,
the past
I will not be
300
doing
years,
it.
whatever.
This is going to say, depends who you ask on that one.
Yeah.
All right, I'm here. The show can start now. Lock is in the
All
house.
right,
Thank
and
you.
we're done. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Let me do a shout out for Dose and Nerd Acumen. If I can.
Hand egg. Wow. I think that's the first time I've ever heard it called that.
Really? Because
You know,
you mostly
I
use
grew
your hand to carry it, and it's an
Yeah.
egg shape.
that makes sense.
It's like football. It's like what you guys call soccer is actually football to the rest of the world, and it
Yeah.
makes sense that it's football
Yeah.
because you only use your feet, like for
Yeah.
the majority of the game, and it's a ball.
Yeah.
It's like the name literally makes sense,
We're okay with the rest of the world being wrong, though, here in America.
and that's how America gets in trouble. I only put it in quotes because I know the rest of the world calls them opposite. Yeah. No, I get it. I get the hand egg joke, definitely.
I was raised by a single mom, and she did not give a rip about sports. So I am one of the people that watch it just for the ads, just for the commercials.
Yeah.
Because they always show awesome trailers,
Yeah,
and
see-
TV spots for movies and stuff. So
Yeah, that's the main thing to watch it for, especially with the Super Bowl. Ads, my man in chat also coming for the UK saying Australian football's the best. That's because Australian football has no rules. Pretty much any Australian version of a sport, they don't have rules, they just get on with it.
and they just released a whole bunch of things on the field that'll kill you, like
Yeah.
spiders and snakes and stuff.
But they don't
Just
really,
make it interesting.
I was going to say, they don't really release them, they're just kind of there.
That's true. They're just indigenous.
Just indigenous to that island.
Insane.
That's why the UK made it a prison before. Like, that's where we sent all
Yeah.
our prisoners because of that, and it's like... Okay, we have actually started the show. This feels like stuff that should have been the pre-show, like random crap, and somehow this has became the show, but that's the world we're in now.
Yeah, what does the rest of the world call American football? Do they call it American football?
American football.
Football Americano. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, like it's called American football because literally that's what Americans call it, and the rest of the world doesn't play it, so we don't have another name for it, so we just say American football.
Got it.
You know, it's like literally nowhere else in the world plays that version of it. We play football, which you guys call soccer, and we play rugby, which is about the closest
Yeah,
to American football, except we don't wear padding, we just kill each other.
dude. Whoever plays rugby, they are some tough people.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's all a man sport, right? So I didn't want to say dudes.
I think so.
Is there a woman rugby league?
Not that I know off the top of my head, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. Let me see. Yeah, commercials have been meh for the past few years. I think the one that I had anticipated the most was when Transformers came out, the movie the first Transformers movie, and they dropped the trailer during the Super Bowl. Like my 8-year-old mind was blown.
Yeah, like
So
that
for
that first Transformers film, like yeah, absolutely.
And then all the rest of them were hot garbage. Not a fan of the NFL. I'd rather watch college ball. Yeah, I have a lot of friends that feel the same way.
How on a show called Comics in the Cross are we now talking about football?
And how are you and I, talking about sports?
I don't watch football. The only
don't
sport
really
I
either.
watch is MMA. That's literally the only sport I
Yes.
watch is MMA.
Yes.
Like I
Yes.
do not watch football. Yet somehow we're talking about it.
Okay, so apparently I'm a little bit quiet.
Yeah, I can turn you up a bit.
No worries, Locke. I appreciate the
Yeah, thanks for letting us
feedback.
know,
That
man.
helps.
No, thanks, Log. Honestly, it's like if he's quiet, I want you guys to hear him. You know, MMA
Yeah,
boxing,
I
my
used-
sports too. Yeah,
I used to watch boxing quite a bit because I have a friend who's super into it and goes to boxing gyms and stuff like that. But I feel like MMA took a lot of the heat from boxing, and I don't feel like
Yeah.
boxing has the superstars that they used to.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I never got into boxing. It was just one of those
So,
things, like, because I did a little bit of martial arts when I was younger and stuff. But like when I watched boxing, like it just never made sense to me. Why can't they use their legs?
yeah,
If this
I
was
think the
if
more
this was a real fight, like I'd be using legs. That's why I like MMA, because like you can get striking, you can get kicking, you can get takedowns, you can get
mhm.
grappling. It's everything. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is like this feels like more like a real fight.
The more that I understood, like I'm not saying I'm like an expert or anything, but the more that like I understood like boxing and the psychology behind boxing
Yeah.
and stuff like that, it helped me enjoy it a little bit more. It's kind of like I don't know a lot about baseball, but there's a psychology between the pitcher and the bat, and like the pitcher is trying to get into the batter's head so he can outpitch him. That's like the main core of baseball. And it's kind of like that with boxing too. Like they're just trying to get into each other's heads, and
I wonder if the
it's
chat
pretty cool.
can read my face while you're giving me a baseball reference.
Dude, I don't watch baseball. I'm
Like
just
the
saying
one sport
that
I know
exists.
less about than American football is
Oh, here we
baseball.
go.
Okay, I'll give you something for baseball. At least another country actually plays that game. It's America
Japan,
and Japan.
Sweet.
That's it. It's like
That's the only. Those are the only two countries that play it.
pretty much, at least that are like major.
No, no, because Mexico plays it. Don't.
They do.
I thought they did.
I've never heard of a Mexican baseball team.
I was gonna say Cuba plays it, but they're like a. They're not. I mean, whatever. I'm so bad at geology. Hey, you can't ignore Mexico, right? Locksteady.
I
Mexico
don't.
plays baseball, right?
I don't ignore.
Am I losing my mind here? Doesn't South America play baseball too? All right, we're gonna start listing out some countries. Cross.
If I was
You
going to
didn't
have
know
a bet of the way that this show was going to kick off, I would have lost so much money that this is the conversation we would be having at this
that?
point.
This is crazy. This is blowing my mind right now.
All right, let me do some plugging for stuff if we can get into some actual news and talk some actual comic book stuff.
We're
before-
11 minutes in, and we've all been about sports. That's crazy.
Yeah, how are we talking sports? We don't watch sports.
Hey, Locksteady, how's the sound?
Just Google where is baseball played around the world. You ready for this? Oh dear, go on, B. Gilbert. Might as
There
well
we
lay it
go.
on
There
us.
we go. Yes. He's probably gonna list off like 100 countries.
Yeah, there's all gonna be like these little countries around the world that are all like masters of baseball and all this stuff and all that.
All right, you know what? I feel like I
kick
gotta
off as
mention
an
since you're bashing
unintentional
American sports. I feel like I need to bash cricket.
No.
And
I will not defend cricket in any way.
cricket is an awful game.
That is an
It
English
is the
sport.
most complicated, convoluted piece of hot garbage game I've ever seen in my
Asia,
entire life.
Europe, North America, Australia, New Zealand, South America, Africa, and
Wow.
dang, I didn't realize there were that many. But yeah, no, I'll hold my hands up at cricket. Like that's an English sport. That is not a Scottish sport. We do not play cricket. Scots do not play cricket. That is England, India, and is it New Zealand or one other country? Like the three major like countries that all play cricket. We are not one of them.
I used to work at a bank here in Richmond, and they had a cricket league, and I worked with a bunch of Indian people, and they tried to explain to me on numerous occasions how the game worked. I even watched YouTube videos on it, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. This is the most complicated game I've ever seen in my life.
All right, now you want to be Gilbert jumping in there that the Scots do pole vault, and it's like, do you want to know what the Scots were champions at one point? I don't know if we still are, but we were champions at elephant polo.
Really?
You explain how that works to me.
That's like the most BA version of polo.
I'm like, surely you would
Ever.
think somebody from Asia or Africa, where elephants are actually indigenous, would be champions of that. No, apparently the Scots were pretty prevalent at elephant polo. I don't know how we pulled that off. I feel like we got lucky, but yeah, apparently we were really good at it.
Hey, Cross, can you turn up my volume just a tad? I think our volumes are just slightly off.
Alright, hold on, let me turn you up a little bit here.
Okay.
Alright, let us know if that sounds any better, guys.
And just FYI, chat, I'm going to be clearing my throat a lot. I'll try to do it off mic as much as possible. So,
As like, how long was a polo club? Like, goodness knows. How big was it? Because imagine if you miss aim that and the elephant stands on it. That polo club is
oh
gone.
yeah, that's right. That's like has to be like an 8-foot club.
It's like
You gotta have like forearms the size of tree trunks.
But
Oh man.
all right, let's do a little bit of plugging. Let's get out of sports, get into what we're here to talk about, because like we need to talk about Wandavision today. We need to talk about this show. This show has blown us away so far, and I'm desperate to get into it. So first of all, right above Nitro, over there in that corner. Don't know if you heard that. I literally blocked my mic when I pointed, so I hope that came through. Is Gamer Grind Co., the #1 coffee for gamers, hashtag on that grind, are prevalent sponsors of the podcast. They have been since pretty much day one. So if you want to check them out and get some absolutely amazing coffee, plus pick yourself up a Comics and Cross coffee mug, then go ahead and click on that link there. Grab yourself some amazing coffee. Don't go without it. As a father of 3, I drink it constantly. Keeps me going 100%. When you've got 3 kids, you need it. Also as well, you might notice we have a new symbol up there if you didn't catch us last week, for TACA, the Autism Community in Action. If anyone has missed the announcements, that is the organisation we are going to be raising money for in our 12-hour stream. Our 12-hour stream that we're going to be doing in April, talking about we're going to be doing a bunch of stuff that we've talked about. We're going to be doing the next Superhero Square Go. We're going to be doing some community gaming. We're talking about doing a trivia night. And apparently, I don't know if you've seen this, Nitro, but in the suggestions, I asked people, if we do a watch-along, do you want us to do something like Avengers Endgame? Mm-hmm. Or would you rather we watch something bad? And
I think the bad thing is a really good idea.
The idea that I pitched was to watch the first 2 episodes, the 2-part intro to the Inhumans show that was released. And just because one of the best shows we ever had was when we just ripped apart Fantastic Four. So I'm like, what if we ripped that apart? And apparently everyone loved that idea.
Dude, let's do it, man.
Apparently everyone loved that idea, so we might be doing a watch-along on the Inhumans episode 1 and 2.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, even Isaac saying that, nah, do a bad movie, you can rip it apart.
Dude, I was thinking Fan Four Stick as well. But I like the Inhumans idea. I think that's a really good idea.
We could do Fan Four Stick, actually, because that's on Disney Plus. That's on Disney Plus now.
Are we allowed to stream Disney Plus on Twitch?
We won't be able to show the movie.
Oh, okay.
But if we tell everybody, like, to kick off, like, at a certain point, like...
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Like, we could hook up and do a watch-along together, so we're watching at the same time, but we'd have to tell everyone else to watch along with us, or they just watch our commentary. Like, I wouldn't be able to put the audio or the visual up on screen here.
Yeah.
And the only ones you can do that with is stuff that's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And because they have a watch-along feature on Twitch.
Yes. Black said stream it to Discord. That's actually a really good idea.
Oh, yeah, we could stream it to Discord, actually. If people want to watch, they have to do it there. That's actually not a bad idea. And Inhumans still hurts because they're my favourite. Yeah. That's
the thing. Like,
they did the Inhumans dirty. They did the Inhumans dirty in that movie, or in that show. They really did.
So I didn't know anything about Inhumans before that show came out. So that was my intro to the Inhumans. Other than the Infinity Run with Hickman, like it showed the Inhumans just a little bit, but that was my intro basically. So I was just not impressed.
Yeah, no, it definitely didn't good. So yeah, let's have a look. I'll look at see if we can do that on Discord then. So let's look if we can do that. Speaking of Discord, if you do want to watch that along with us, and if you also want to keep up to date and chat with us throughout the week, I'm on Discord pretty much every day at this point. We overhauled it over the holidays, over Christmas and New Year, so we're trying to use it more actively. Also, we're looking for your input, for your guys' input on a few different things over there. The major one being the 12-hour stream. What do you guys want to see from us? What do you want to see us doing? What do you want us to do during the 12-hour stream? And also to get some more information as well on the Autism Community in Action itself. A great organisation that I'm happy to be raising some funds for. Also as well, supporting us financially, I'm trying to overhaul our Patreon page. But I put out the shout out on there for suggestions of like, what do y'all want to see on the Patreon? It's exclusive content that would make you think, hey, I'm going to go support them on Patreon. Because apparently supporting us on Patreon, like you can pay the same amount on Patreon as you do here, and it actually gives us more money. I found out off of another streamer, so I'm like, nice. So I'm looking to overhaul our Patreon, but I want to put exclusive content on there. One of the big suggestions we got already was like reaction stuff on there. So like if we get new trailers, especially this year when we've got a bunch of stuff coming out doing reaction trailers, I was thinking like because we're putting it up in Patreon, we could even put up like reactions to, like we're doing Wandavision today, so we could like watch an episode and just record reaction to it and upload it to Patreon or to movies or to whatever. and do that as stuff content for Patreon. And the lowest we've got on there is like $2. So if you want to support us there, you can definitely go ahead and do that. Or you can support us financially here by subbing to our channel, as low as a tier 1 sub, or even with Amazon Prime, which is cost you absolutely nothing. Or also, if you go just below us in our About Us section, we actually now have a donations link. So if you want to give a donation to Comics in the Cross to support us financially, you can give us a donation there as well. Again, B. Gilbert's lurking, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for that lurk. We absolutely appreciate our lurkers sticking around. But yeah, any financial support is greatly appreciated, but is in no way a necessity. We do not want you guys to feel that you have to give us financially to do this stuff, to do Comics in the Cross, to keep this channel going. But if you want to support us that way, there are a few options that you can look at now. Also as well, let me shout out our Indie Comic Book Club, as at the end of this month we are going to be doing our next Indie Comic Book Club, looking at Chew Volume 1. The links I've put up there, you can find a local comic shop, because we want to try and support our local comic shops, pick it up from there. If you cannot get it at a local comic shop, then that is our Amazon wish list that I've made that's going to put all our Comic Book Club books on it. So you'll find Log and Key, you'll find Klaus that we've done already, and Chew on there also. Alright, I think that's most of the stuff at the moment. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The only other major thing coming up I want to announce is in 2 weeks we had Brannon from Brainy Pixel on recently. He is actually going to be coming back on in a couple weeks with Ivan from Mercy Way Studios, as they've announced a new comic book coming out, The Chronicles of David, which the artwork looks absolutely amazing for, and they're going to be coming on to talk a little bit about that on the show. So I just want to get that out there also. Alright, I think that's it for that. So shall we get into some news?
Let's do it. Oh, I feel like I gotta call this out.
What? Oh yeah.
Reppin' the Teespring merch. Everyone, reppin' the Teespring merch.
Yeah,
it's a nice looking shirt, man. Feels really nice.
Yeah, we've got a store. You can get it there on our Teespring, where you can pick up our merchandise. And Nitro finally has some Comics in the Cross merchandise on.
I know, right? My broke butt.
But yeah, if you want to get that for yourself, you show off your love as a comic client, you can go ahead and pick it up there. But let us delve into some news. Let me pull that down.
Let's do it.
Okay, so there's a few things, so I'm just going to we're kind of going to rattle through these as best we can. Some of them are just minor things, they're not going to take a lot of time. First thing is, we got some images of the upcoming Thor Love and Thunder movie. We got to see Thor, we got to see Star-Lord, we got to see Krellin, we got to see Nebula. A lot of shots looking like they're round Earth, but just 100% confirming this is basically another Thor movie and Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Yeah.
They're definitely one and the same.
Yeah.
You kind of shouted it out on Twitter as well. Like, Thor's outfit, it looks like he's back in shape. It looks like, you know,
he looks...
Big Lebowski Thor is gone.
Yes.
And it's like he's no longer the dude, he's back to being in shape. But he's also wearing an outfit that's very reminiscent of his Thunderstrike.
Strikingly similar to Thunderstrike.
Era, which for anyone that doesn't know in the comics was the era when Thor didn't have Mjolnir, really, and was kind of doing a separate thing of being Thor. He was now Thunderstrike.
Yeah.
In the comic, and so it looks like they're kind of taking some inspiration for
very
that.
80s, early 90s vibe.
But then again, if you look at the logo for Thor Love and Thunder, it feels like it fits.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely got a like, if Hulk Hogan and Michael Jackson had a child, like that would be the outfit that they would wear, I think.
Yeah, it's like there's definitely a very specific look he's got going on. But I'm excited for this movie. We've not got much else of it, just a few images of it, but it's looking interesting. I'm all for it.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be an awesome show. I think it's going to be an awesome movie. I think I'm all for more Thor, especially with Taika Waititi at the helm.
Yeah,
I'm all for checking that out. You know, so
yeah, I'm excited to see what they do.
But we don't have any more details on it, really. I just thought it was a really interesting one. We did get some interesting news on some of the Disney Plus stuff. There's going to be a new Marvel Disney Plus show called Black Panther: World of Wakanda. where they're going to be expanding a look at Wakanda itself as a country. I think it'll be interesting to see how that relates into Black Panther 2. Because obviously both are going forward without Chadwick Boseman, you know, so God rest his soul. Him passing away, they've basically made that known that they're not going to go forward with T'Challa.
Yeah.
And they're not going to recast him, they're not going to do anything like that. It looks like the running theory right now is that Shuri's going to be the new Black Panther.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens in the comics, she takes on that mantle, and she's the most obvious one to kind of take that role.
Yeah.
Letitia Wright was one of the highly praised people in both like Black Panther and the Avengers movies following. So I think most people would be happy with that, but I'm interested to see, there's not really a details yet on like what it's going to be about specifically. It'd be interesting to see if it's like about the Dora Milaje, if I can speak properly.
Dora Milaje?
Milaje, yeah. Couldn't get the words out there, it just wasn't happening. But like the elite guard of Black Panther, I'm wondering if we'll maybe get a look at them, if it's going to be more of like an expanded view of Wakanda, is it going to be characters we don't even know yet, you know?
It'd be cool to see like the technology like that's in play in like everyday life in Wakanda. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, so it's like there's a lot of different directions they could go with this, so it'll be interesting. Again, we don't have a lot of information on it.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a lot to talk about on it, but it is something that it's exciting to think about, that they're expanding the Disney Plus shows. You know, and
because I was looking at the release schedule today, and like, there's just so many that are coming out this year. Like, Falcon and Winter Soldier is coming out in March. Loki's coming out in May. You have What If, and you have Miss Marvel. Yeah. It's a ton, man. And Hawkeye. I forgot about Hawkeye.
Official MXG, thank you for that, host brother. Absolutely appreciate it. Welcome into the chat.
So we still have 4 shows coming out this year, basically.
Which, after the first half of WandaVision, like if they're all going to be on that level, like I'm all in.
And I like. All right, so I know we're going to kind of get into this a little bit. I have a love-hate relationship with this release schedule because they're so short. The episodes are so short, but you do get something every week, and I have a feeling they're going to continue. You're going to get something every week through the end of the year.
See, we're going to get into that as well. Of like, I think the start of WandaVision was short on purpose. Because if you look at episode 5 is a 40-minute episode.
True. That's true, yeah.
And I heard someone talking about it, like the first episodes were really focused on the sitcom aspect. And they were about 20 minutes, which is about how long sitcoms in those eras were.
Yeah.
And they're like, I wonder if you go and if you add up the time that we spend in the sitcom in episode 5, how long that running time is. If that's still like a 20-minute mark.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
And I'm like, so I don't think all the shows are going to have like 20-minute episodes. I honestly think it's specifically for WandaVision. I think there was a reasoning behind it. At least that's my thinking. I don't know if I'm right on that.
Well, no, I think you're right. Because I think I remember Kevin Feige talking about Loki specifically, and he was talking about how the episodes were close to an hour.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you're right.
So like, I think that was a very intentional thing for WandaVision. And if it is, it's very smart.
Junk the Hutt. Finally getting into WandaVision. Yeah, it's awesome, man.
Yeah, like I mean, like if you, let's put it this way, episode 4 and 5, if you can't get into WandaVision after episode 4 and 5, this isn't the show for you.
Yeah, I was kind of like not feeling it at the end of episode 3. I'm like, okay, I get it. Let's get some more reveals going on. And then episode 4 and 5 dropped, and I was like,
episode 4 and 5, episode 4 and 5 are like, okay, you settled. Everything you know is a lie.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
It's like,
that was awesome.
But speaking of Disney Plus shows, we also got the announcement that in Falcon and Winter Soldier, an upcoming show that I'm really excited about, I'm really looking forward to Falcon and Winter Soldier, we are actually going to be getting another Marvel character in that one. War Machine is going to be officially part of Falcon and Winter Soldier. I find it really interesting that they've held off on announcing that until now, because like, the show's pretty much been done for a while now.
Yeah.
We're still a little bit off of it getting announced, and then out of nowhere they've announced, oh yeah, by the way, Rhodey's in this. Which I'm all for. I love. Don Cheadle as James Rhodes is amazing. I love the guy.
Agreed.
I think he's a great. I think it's really interesting. We're bringing almost like the secondary to the main heroes in it. Like we've got like War Machine, who was like secondary to Iron Man, Winter Soldier and Falcon, who were secondary to Cap, are all now like, hey, here's more of these characters. Like,
yes,
which honestly feels very comic booky.
Yeah, it really does. And
it's like, you love these characters as side characters. Here's their own comic. If you don't want to read more about them, don't pick it up and don't watch it. It's like, if you do, delve in, and it's like it's really cool done.
And spoiler warning for Avengers Endgame if you haven't seen it yet, but like I thought
It's
that
been
I was
2 years. Go watch it.
I felt like I was gonna get like be not as in to the MCU after like Chris Evans and RDJ left, but I am not finding that the case. I am really invested in what's going on right now.
What was it? It's like people are saying that like since Wandavision came out, like it has been well over a year.
Since anything.
Since Spider-Man Far From Home came out. That was the last MCU property we got. Everything else was pushed back. Yeah. And it's like, wow, did we hit the ground running?
Yes.
And I'm like, I was worried. Like, I feel like that was the end of a story. I'm like, if they're going to feel like they're dragging the backside out of it and this is not worth it, then this is where we're going to see it. And I am not feeling that. Maybe it's the year gap. Maybe it was because 2020 had nothing. But, like, I'm completely invested in this. And I'm like, every time I keep hearing people like, oh, I'm getting fed up of superhero movies, like I'm not. 100% I am here for the ride, and it's whenever Marvel stops, if it ever stops, fair enough, we had a good run, but like until it stops running, I'm right on that bandwagon. I'm with it, train. Man.
Yeah, Chunk says I wasn't feeling it the first 2 episodes, but I'm into it now. I was the same way. I wasn't feeling like the first 3 episodes, to be quite honest.
Episode 3 was interesting because it changed it up a little bit and there was hints of stuff, but episode 1 and 2 were like almost straight sitcom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but at the same time, I feel like that helped set up what was to come, because like it set up the stuff that came later, but it's also still left mysteries of like, but why?
Yeah.
Why do this? But we'll get into that in a little bit. Going outside of Marvel, which is something I don't get to say often, which I love saying.
How dare you?
We got an official trailer drop, not last week, but the week before, for Invincible. The animated Invincible series, Invincible comic from Image Comics and Skybound, written by Robert Kirkman of Walking Dead fame. It's a superhero story from the indie scene, something we will cover on Indie Comic Book Club. We might even cover it this year, actually. That might be one that we delve into after Chew. But they officially dropped the trailer for it.
Huh. I did not catch that.
And it looks amazing. Some of the voice casting, like the 2 most prevalent in the trailer you see, Stephen Yeun from The Walking Dead, that played Glenn. He is playing Invincible himself, Mark. And then his father is played by J.K. Simmons.
Oh, sweet.
Which, if you don't know who J.K. Simmons is at this point, then go sort that out and watch a lot of things, because he's awesome. Poor Glenn. Yeah, we're not going to talk about what happened to Glenn in The Walking Dead. That was not fun to watch.
That was awful.
It's a few years ago now, and it's still like
it was
quite
awful.
horrific. So it was like, whoa. It's like, yeah. It's like, so yeah, I'm all hyped for this. This is coming out to Amazon Prime. It's an Amazon Prime show. So if you've got your Amazon Prime accounts, then are you rushing or are you dragging? We're just talking, son. We're just talking. Look, it's been nearly a year we've been doing this show. If you don't get how we function at this point, you're not going to get it. This is what happens, right?
We BS our way through the first 45-ish minutes, and then we actually get to what we're actually trying to talk about.
Exactly.
That's how we always roll.
So, yeah, so I'm all hyped for that. I did drop it in our Discord under the other shows channel, so if you want to go check it out for yourself, it should still be under there. But yeah, I'm all for this. I'm all for like stuff that isn't. It's a quote from J.K. Simmons' movie Whiplash. Oh, it's for Whiplash. Okay. Sorry, I did not get you there. I thought you were just trying to rip us again, which, to be fair, you do tend to do, so I'm like... but yeah, I'm all for more of the indie stuff getting a shine.
Oh, Whiplash. Got it. I love that movie, by the way, and that went way over my head. Gosh.
And then he
slapped him.
It's like,
dude, that's such a good movie, man.
It's like, now I feel bad. It was nothing against you. You should feel bad. You should. Just, Hey, Bill Gilbert back in the house. Good to see you. All right, and our last couple of bits of news. The first one I'm going to completely run over because I know nobody cares, but it was announced, so I feel like I should say it. On the CW, Batwoman, Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow have all been renewed for another season, so they'll be coming back at the end of next year. How these shows are still going, I have no idea. We finally got rid of Supergirl, which I'm so glad. But like, yeah, so they're all getting renewed, so these are all coming back. So if you still watch the CW shows, yay, I kind of fell off of them. I tried. I really tried.
They all have a similar feel, and I don't like that feel.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it. I don't know.
The only one I enjoyed personally was Arrow. And it's like, I know you weren't a fan of Stephen Amell in the role, but like I enjoyed Arrow for the most part. There was a couple of seasons that were crap. And beyond that, I liked Legends. I kind of just fell off of it, but Legends in the later seasons actually was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But the rest of them just kind of, I just started losing interest in, personally.
Yeah, I don't mind Stephen Amell as an actor, but I feel like him in that role was similar to me, the guy Mike Coulter in Luke Cage. They didn't do it for me. There was something off about their performance that I wasn't jiving with.
And then the last announcement, because we haven't had enough announcements about it yet. As we got a release date, as I kind of briefly mentioned last week. We got a release date of March 18th for Zack Snyder's Justice League dropping on HBO Max. So it's coming next month. It's officially happening. We've been releasing tons of images. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't see before, new footage that we didn't see before. We already know Darkseid's going to be part of it.
Uh-huh.
And then he dropped an image this last week of the Joker.
Yep.
Holding a card like this in shadow.
Which looks strikingly similar to Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
I was literally going to say that. They keep saying that it's Jared Leto's Joker, but it doesn't look like Jared Leto's Joker in silhouette. It looks like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Yeah, it really does.
From the movie Joker.
Yeah.
It looks like him. But they keep saying it's Jared Leto's Joker, so like, okay, I'll take it as maybe they've reworked the character or whatever, but like, if it was Joaquin Phoenix...
very similar to Joaquin Phoenix.
If
the hair slicked back, the dark eyes, it just looks very similar.
It looks a lot more like his Joker than it does Jared Leto's Joker. My only thing is, like, is it too much, though? Like, is it too much having Joker? Because, like, they're not putting it in, like, oh, Joker's going to kind of appear. Like, we've seen characters appear and stuff, but they've really announced it like this is a major thing, and I'm like, is this them literally just trying to cram stuff in where it doesn't need to be crammed in? Like, so much already happens in Justice League movie. Like, they've already got so much stuff. We've already got them basically saying, hey, we're going to be doing Darkseid. We never got a chance to do him in this version, so in Zack Snyder's version, we're going to do it. Where does the Joker fit in? Is he being shoehorned in? Is he necessary? Or are they literally just trying to jump on, hey, the Joker's in this to get more people?
I don't know, man. Like, so here's my thought process. So Zack Snyder came in with a specific vision of what he wanted Justice League to be. Obviously, extenuating circumstances involving his family, he had to step away.
Yeah.
And what happened was an absolute travesty. And I think anybody in a creative endeavor, given the chance to redo something that they know that there's a good odds that when I redo this, it's going to be way better than it was originally. They're going to take those odds. And I think now that he has a 4-hour runtime, he has no rating limit, he can kind of go back to the drawing board and rework. He's been given a ton of money to kind of like redo certain things. We're getting more Cyborg, which I'm a huge fan of. I'm super, super excited for this. I'm very interested to see what happens. Depending on how he tells the story, it might feel a bit shoehorned in with the Joker, but I don't think the Joker will be in it the whole movie. I think there's going to be a very specific purpose for the Joker there.
I don't think he's going to be in the whole thing. If they try to shoehorn him in as like one of the big bads for this, I think would be way too much. That's my only kind of thing is like, but if he's not coming in to be in that level, where is he going to be put in that he just doesn't feel like he's just been added for the sake of it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, not to mention the fact of like, although it does look like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, they do keep saying that it's Jared Leto's Joker. And if it is Jared Leto's Joker, why take that risk?
Yeah.
His Joker was not well received by anybody.
And the thing is, like, I really like Jared Leto as an actor. I think he's a fantastic actor. I really just think it was the way that they portrayed the Joker. I don't think it had any... Well, I mean, he obviously played it up as the gangster Joker, which I'm not a huge fan of. But I think it was just a combination of just way poor design choices and poor writing.
Yeah, Isaac in the chat saying Snyder Cut will probably be better than Justice League, but that's not saying much. Yeah, like I've no doubt, like at the very least, this version of Justice League will be better than the one we got, because at the very least, the tone should be the same throughout the whole movie. Which that was one of the major things for Justice League, was the fact of like you could tell there was two different tones. You could tell what bits. You could literally point at that bit was written by Snyder. That bit was
like
written by
in the
Whedon.
same scene. The cuts were different. It was
Like,
bad. It was
you
so
could
bad.
you could literally say that line was written by Snyder, or that line was written by Whedon. You could literally point them out which was which.
Wait, Ad says he prefers Leto to Phoenix. Wow.
Ads, do we need to have an intervention for you? Is
Wow.
everything okay?
Ads, are you subbed to the channel? Is there any way that we can unsub someone across?
No, because we're getting money.
Yeah, but if it's coming from Ads, who thinks
Yeah.
that, you know, come on. I'm just joking.
I'll watch it, but I'm not expecting much. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I'm going to go ahead and watch it. I'm definitely going to check it out. I'm not going to not check it out.
Yeah. See, that I have very high expectations for it, and maybe that's gonna set me up for a really big failure.
See, that's the thing. I don't have high expectations for it, because like everyone gets excited that it's going to be his vision, which tonally, at least it'll fit. It won't be two sides. At the same time, I think it depends on whether did you enjoy Dawn of Justice or not. Did you enjoy Batman v Superman? Because that was pretty much his whole vision. That was all Zack Snyder. Don't get me wrong, the studio did get involved a bit, but not even close to what they did with Justice League. The reason they started meddling is because there was so much backlash to that.
Yeah.
It's like, so... Chunks like,
I know I'm gonna be disappointed.
As you need to go, just get it. but like seriously though, like, that's the thing for me with Snyder. It's like it could turn out really good. You know, I have seen Zack Snyder stuff that I really enjoy, his films, but like when it comes to the DCEU, like I've seen Batman v Superman, and I'm like, I seen what the studio did with Justice League, and it was awful. But I've seen what he did with Batman v Superman, and it wasn't much better.
But you've seen what he did with Man of Steel. And it was great.
Yeah, I did enjoy Man of Steel. I did like that.
That's the thing. Like, it was such a weird shift from Man of Steel to Batman versus Superman.
And I started to wonder that, like,
I don't know.
Can he work with like one character? Is it the ensemble of all the different stories he can't pull together? If he just worked with like, if he just did like Superman stories, would he be okay?
Part of me is like he was coming off of such a high of Man of Steel, and then he was greenlit for all these characters, and he's like, dude, I want to do everything.
Yeah, but if you remember as well, like between Man of Steel and Dawn of Justice, it was like, what, 4 years?
Yeah, that's true.
With nothing?
Yeah.
Things changed drastically in that time, you know?
Shia LaBeouf Wolverine.
This is very true, actually.
I still stand by that. I don't care.
I know you stand by it. And
you can at me all you want. I stand by that.
Nitro muted. Going with low expectations, and when it's better than you thought it was going to be, you'll be pleasantly surprised. That is true. Going with low expectations and hope to be surprised, Isaac.
Yeah,
See, I'm going to be expecting a train wreck. Yeah, absolutely. Shia LaBeouf is an extremely good actor.
See,
pull it off.
All right, Coop. All right, see, I have someone that's on my side now. Coop, we are best friends now. Okay, we're best friends. I am on Discord if you ever just want to chat. You know. So.
And I'm going to sit here and judge both of you harshly. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the news. There wasn't a lot of stuff this week. I cannot see out these glasses. I don't know what's going on.
I know if I drink all right, just too much TMI. If I drink too much water on the stream, I have to get up and go to the bathroom. So I try not to drink on the stream, other than coffee, obviously.
So try to make sure we drink coffee on stream, because you know when you're sponsored by them, it's usually good to show off the product. Nick Cage for Wolverine. Yeah, apparently the Infinity Bros had a whole big thing about that of Nick Cage to play Wolverine.
I know. I plead the fifth. Nick Cage for Superman, and Batman, and Wonder Woman. They should have a movie about the Trinity where Nick Cage plays all three of them. That'd be awesome.
I'd actually be down for that. That'd actually be something I would 100% watch.
That's going to be an SNL skit now.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's something I would definitely check out.
I would definitely watch that.
All right.
We need a Nick Cage emote. All right, sorry.
Hey, we're close to getting our third emote. We could do a Nick Cage one.
Nick Cage is a good actor when he is not bat crap crazy.
No, Are you kidding? That's when he's at his best. I want him to be bat crap crazy like him.
All right. So there's different levels of Nick Cage bat crap crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we look at Face Off. That bat crap crazy is an acceptable. That's an acceptable level of crazy.
Yes, 100%.
When you look at other films like later, it's like.
Nah, he went through this weird period when his movies they weren't really him being crazy. They were just bizarre.
Yeah.
But like, see when he goes like total twisted mentally, sort of out his head, sort of stuff. Like, yeah, it's like him just being completely off the rails. Like, that's entertaining. It's not good, but it's entertaining.
Yeah, like Wicker Man when he's like screaming bees.
Ah, the bees, the bees.
Nick Cage takes any role he's offered. That's true, man. That's like what's his face? The dude who always voices God. What's his name? How can I not remember this? Never mind. I'm gonna hold the podcast up.
Yeah, they did the voice. They did the voices God.
Bruce Almighty.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, that's it. I can't believe I forgot his name.
You said the dude that voices God.
Yeah, he always voices God in movies.
Oh, Mel Blanc. Mel Blanc for Looney Tunes. That's actually not a bad guess, B. Gilbert, but no, it's like I don't think we were going that direction with it.
Mel Blanc. Only Nick Cage I watch all the way through. Con Air. See, Con Air is awesome.
Con Air is good. Con Air's good, but Con Air is bizarre. It's like...
It is bizarre. And again, that's an acceptable level of Nick Cage crazy because he kind of plays it up in that movie a little bit.
But at the same time, he's balanced because you've also got John Malkovich going crazy and you've also got Steve Buscemi as the kind of psycho nice guy in that movie as well. So he is a little balanced.
Gone in 60 Seconds was
such
awesome,
a good movie.
That's right.
Such a good movie. I've not watched that in so long, but it's so good.
Yeah, it's really
all right. So we're
almost an hour in.
We're doing not bad.
Right on time. Yeah,
we're about 45 minutes, so that's not bad. That's about average for us. We are going to delve in now. So 100%, if you are listening to this, we are going full spoilers for the first 5.
Crap out of it.
Because the ending of episode 5 cannot be left without being talked about today. So we are going to spoil everything. If you have not seen WandaVision, if you've got Disney Plus and got a way to see it, go and watch it. Catch up with us later. Watch this on YouTube. Catch up with it on demand. We are going full spoiler territory.
Yes.
This is obviously only for the first half of the season. There's still 4 episodes to go, which could go in any direction at this point. Goodness knows where we're going. But we're going to be delving into spoilers for the first 5 episodes, and boy, does it start to ask a lot of great questions.
Okay, so how do we want to do this? Do we want to go episode by episode, or just talk about it as a whole, in a general, as a narrative?
I kind of want to go episode by episode, because I kind of want to build up, because once we get to that big reveal at the end of episode 5, we're going to go into complete theories about what's to come. Okay. And we're never going to come back to the other episodes. So let's talk about the first 2-3 episodes just in general, because there's not a vast amount of stuff that happens out with the sitcom in those.
Yeah. So they start with like an I Love Lucy-ish type intro for the first episode or 2, and I think they switch.
It's literally the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Okay.
The house.
I never got into that.
My wife watched the Dick Van Dyke Show. Literally, the layout of the house looks just like the Dick Van Dyke Show. And then
I love how they did the little illustration for the intro. That was so cool.
Yeah, and like I see Vision like in that first intro when he like walks through the chair holding Wanda.
Yeah,
like that's actually a call to the Dick Van Dyke Show, because Dick Van Dyke would like trip over that ottoman in his living room during the intro. So the fact that he like phases through it, that was like a whole hint to that. Which if you have a love for like sitcoms of any era, of like, you know, because they go like different eras, it goes like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you know, it's like it goes right through them. So if you've got like a love for any sort of sitcom stuff, you're probably going to enjoy, like, there's a lot of little nods to old sitcom stuff, to sitcom openings, to different stuff like that.
A couple things to call out that blink and you'll miss it. So when they do the intro to the first episode, Vision is carrying Wanda. He tries to bump through the door and she falls, right? Then he picks her up and they both phase through the couch. I don't know if you saw that, but they both phase through the couch. So something has changed. Also, in the animated little intro part, when Vision goes through the floor, there's a silhouette of the Grim Reaper helmet. Grim Reaper from the comics, who like had beef with Scarlet Witch. So it's just a little callback homage to that. Yeah, Death of Superman Lives. What happened? I did see that documentary. It was awesome. Sorry, I know we're switching subjects, but
no, it's cool. It's cool. Thanks for catching out the chat. But yeah, so like the first two episodes are literally straight up just sitcom episodes.
Yeah,
they're literally straight up. What was the first episode again? Because the second one's the talent show, right?
the first episode is just introduction. Shows Vision at his job at the computational service, and it has his boss and his wife come over.
That's right. It's a dinner.
Yeah.
The boss comes over for dinner. That's it. Which, of course, classic sitcom trope. The boss is coming for dinner. I have never had any of my bosses over for dinner at any point in my life, but apparently in the 50s it was a thing that happened a lot because most sitcoms had it happen.
Well, yeah, and the big thing is, like, they don't know, Wanda and Vision don't know what this date is that they have circled with a heart, or they have a heart on their calendar. And so it's setting up the fact that they don't know what's going on, basically. There's a foundation of, I have no idea what's going on while we're here, what this is. So it's an unsettling tone right out of the gate. It's really cool.
See, that's the thing. That's not what I got from that first episode. Like, from the get-go, it seems very prevalent that they're hinting at whatever's going on, Wanda's in control of it. That's been hinted at since the trailers.
Yeah.
You know, we've already talked about spoilers coming up. Yes, Wanda has a massive control over what's taking place. We find that out in upcoming episodes. I very much took it as, like, it was just jumping full force into the sitcom trope. Because that is a sitcom trope of like that. Oh, we have a date planned here, and she thinks she thinks it's an anniversary, so she gets all dressed up and Vision comes back with his boss and his boss's wife, and she's dressed in this 50s sexy outfit, which looks like a dinner dress for today's era. But it's like it feels very much. Everything kind of plays out like a sitcom. He goes to work, the boss comes over, they find out the Hart was because their last name is Hart. So they're coming over, very Bewitched in the setup of it is what made me think of. Like, she's trying to hide her powers, he's trying to hide that he's a synthezoid, no one knows, they're trying to pretend that they're a normal family. Again, a trope that we've seen in tons of sitcoms throughout the years. And it plays out well, like Wanda magics the food together and stuff like that, and they put on the dinner. Nothing seems out of the ordinary until they sit down at the table.
Yes.
And then I think the best way to describe it is that the boss and his wife start to glitch.
Yes.
And they start screaming because they're starting to ask Wanda and Vision about their story and who they are. It starts to
turn into a horror vibe a little bit.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really, really does. And they start glitching, they start shouting, and it's like, help him, and all that. And it's it just builds us up, and then all of a sudden it's they step in and help. Vision helps his boss who's choking and stuff, and it's back to normal.
Yeah, and one of the big things in the first couple episodes is, like you said, you've already said it, is they are trying as hard as they can to hide their powers from other people. That's a big theme in the first couple episodes, and I think it's important as we get into the later episodes because that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah. I wasn't into the first two episodes was because it was black and white.
See, I didn't mind it once I first got into it.
See, I've watched certain black and white things before, so it's it didn't bother me. I knew what they were going for and the reason for the aesthetic, and actually we see it in episode 2 that it actually helps play up certain things. Because going into episode 2, we got that.
Hold on.
We got the very end of that. Sorry,
Big character reveal in episode 1 is Agnes, the neighbor.
Yes! Oh, I was going to get into her as well. Yes, 100%.
Who always seems to show up at the exact right time that she's needed.
All right, we're going to get into her as the episodes go because she's a very prevalent character. But there's definitely some theories circulating around about her, which I want to get into when we get to the end too.
Yes.
But yeah, Agnes will reappear in every episode, and there's definitely something more going on there. I don't know what it is.
And the thing is, that she appears at the exact right time that she's needed.
Every time that she's needed, something is needed. And Vision even ends up commenting on that a little bit later on.
Yeah.
But we end episode 1 with them sitting on the sofa doing the outro with the credits rolling, and then it zooms out of this old-timey TV set. And we see someone sitting watching them, someone taking notes. And we get the hint right away of the big theory in the first 3 episodes was the big organization we're dealing with is SWORD.
Yes, and you get the logo, the SWORD logo.
We get the SWORD logo in the book. We get all of that. I'm like, oh my goodness, is that SWORD? Is that what that's going to be? I thought we were going to be waiting a lot longer for that. And then in episode 4, they literally talk about, hey, it's SWORD. I'm like, oh, we're just jumping straight in. Okay. So yeah, we'll get.
The thing is, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Carlos.
No, go for it.
The thing with Sword in the MCU is it's instead of sentient worlds, it's sentient weapons. So it's definitely space based because there's hints to that, but it's more of a weapon based.
Because they've kind of taken on a role of like they're very space orientated, which makes sense because it was founded by Monica Rambeau, who becomes a character in this. Her mother, who was the friend of Carol Danvers in Captain Marvel. So she helped found this off of the fact of like knowing that Captain Marvel's out there, that the Skrulls are out there, that the Kree are out there, and then obviously it got infused by the fact that Thanos is out there and he attacked and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But they've also kind of taken on the role of dealing with the weird crap that S.H.I.E.L.D. would usually deal with, because S.H.I.E.L.D's technically still not around.
Yeah.
Although Fury's been doing stuff, we've technically never seen the reformation of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the MCU, so Sword is kind of taken on that, and that's how they kind of get involved with this.
And can I say, I feel like Sword is way more terrifying than S.H.I.E.L.D. ever was.
Oh yeah, 100%. Also as well, we might be getting some hints to our favourite first family at one point, thanks to
Maybe.
Sword.
I don't know. I know what you're talking about.
It mentions it, but it would make sense. So
it would make sense, but it's... Yeah, we'll get into it.
We'll get into that in episode 4.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
So,
dude, I'm so hyped.
I know. So episode 1 happens like that. There wasn't too much to it, just the fact of like somebody's clearly watching this. There's obviously something bigger going on. Season 2, we jump into, like, it's jumped forward an era. I think we started in the 1940s and it's went to 1950s now.
Yeah. No, we started in the 50s, went to the 60s in episode 2.
No, it must have started in the 40s because episode 5 was the 80s and it jumps forward a decade.
Yeah, so episode 3 was kind of outside of the sitcom trope because it was mostly
yeah. So it was. Sorry, so it was. My bad.
Agent Wu is awesome.
Agent Wu is amazing. We are so getting into him when we get to episode 4. Absolutely. But yeah, so episode 2, another trait of like 50s and 60s era like tropes.
The talent show.
The talent show. I have never done a talent show with my neighbours. I have never had a community talent show like this. But apparently, again, this was another thing that frequently happened back in that decade. And so Wanda and Vision decide to start doing it. So they're going to do like a magic act, but they're going to do like, magic and not use actual powers or anything like that because, why not? Might as well do that. The whole premise of this episode is basically Vision gets drunk because he swallows chewing gum.
I don't understand that. I don't understand.
It gums up his gears and he is basically drunk for the entire show. That's the main premise of it. But we see other stuff, like we see him going and getting connected with some of the guys in the community wanting to help. We see Wanda going and talking to like the women in the area. Around Wanda, we also get the next little hints of it's still black and white, but she finds a red helicopter toy in a bush that she picks up and looks at, and again has the Sword logo on it. Yeah. So we get that hint. No idea what it is or why it's in colour when everything else is black and white. We then also get the voice on the radio when she's meeting with the women and stuff. She goes to talk to the head, like mean girl, like woman that runs the whole thing. And we get the voice coming through the radio, which we'll later find out is Agent Wu. Yeah. Trying to communicate through, but we just hear a voice asking for Wanda, asking...
And like, who is doing this to you?
Who's doing this to you? Because the running theme at the start is that she's stuck in this world, she's been captured. Yeah. And then we also get our introduction to Geraldine, who is Monica Rambeau in the show.
I really I forgot the name of the lady who plays her, but I really, really enjoy her character. She's a really great
so
actress.
Good. She's such a good actor in both versions, because when she's Geraldine inside, she is basically fully in character for that. Yeah. And then we get her outside of what's going on and then the real world, and it's like, and she is such a good character. Like Monica Rambeau is such a great character. And I've seen the memes going everywhere of like, I want a show following her, Wu, and Darcy, and I'm like, 100%.
There's a really cool hint to what she might become later.
Oh yeah, we'll get that again in episode 4. That's the thing. Like, we're trying to get through the first few episodes to kind of hint where we get to this, but like, see when we get to episode 3 and then into 4, crap hits the fan and it just goes and just doesn't stop, man. Yeah. So second episode, let's just run through the end part of that. Like, we see that stuff happening. They do the talent show. Vision's drunk practically. Wanda starts doing her magic to try and show off stuff, like because Vision starts doing stuff like floating and picking up a piano and all this stuff, and like there's someone in the box that ends up being Monica Rambeau who's in the box, and she asks like, well, how did I get in there, and random stuff like that. But again, it's very much a trope.
Yeah, and there's a running theme through the first 2 episodes. There's this phrase that a lot of the people in the show are saying is for the children, and they'll even like creepily say all together, it's for the children, for the children. So I have, and I know we'll get into it. I keep saying that, but I have a theory.
Episode 5 really hits on that though. Like we get like a real call out to that, which we'll get into when we get to episode 5, which is like, oh yeah, what's going on with that?
Yeah.
But yeah, so the episode practically ends. It looks like it's going to be fine. They're having their nice little world, but it's hinted at early on that they heard a noise outside. And it's the old school beds of like where the beds were like single beds separate from each other, because apparently in the 60s we couldn't show married couples in a bed together because even in that era, I'm sorry, you're a married couple, you know
what happens.
You know what happens. Like, we're not exactly covering it up,
Yeah.
But you see them like getting scared and pulling the beds together and stuff like that, and then right at the end of the episode they hear a noise outside again, and Vision goes out and Wanda follows him, and then a manhole cover opens, and this beekeeper's guy in a beekeeper suit comes out and looks at them, which started after that episode. I was reading so many fan theories on this. This was Swarm.
Dude.
From Marvel, the guy that's made up of like living bees and stuff. Like, oh my goodness, it's going to be Swarm. Isn't Swarm.
Well, that's
not
the
even
thing.
close.
Like, Marvel knows what they're doing to us fanboys, and this slow drip of information has conspiracy theories going nuts. Like, for the longest time, I thought that this dude climbing out of his manhole covered in bees was going to be Mephisto. There was no evidence to support that claim at all. I just knew 100%. That's Mephisto.
Agnes is Mephisto. You've heard it here first. Agnes is Mephisto.
You think she's Mephisto? I don't think she's Mephisto, but I do think she is a witch. There's a pendant she wears throughout the show that changes. There's three beings on it, and I think those are the 3 witches that she works for.
Yeah,
my theory. That's my
I
theory.
think there's maybe something like that, but I'm like, if anyone in this show is Mephisto, though, it's her. Like, either that or it's the biggest red herring, and it's going to be like the freaking dog or something is like Mephisto.
There's a really important point, like outside of the show, China has, all right, I feel like I need to get my thoughts together.
Breathe.
China is a big box office draw with Marvel shows and movies and stuff like that. So a lot of times they have to cater the content to that because obviously there's like a billion people over there. That being said, they don't jive with the supernatural stuff. So a lot of people are saying Marvel wouldn't do Mephisto because he's really the devil. And I don't think China would go for that. But if you look in the Loki trailer that came out last year, there is a stained glass portrait of Mephisto in the background. There's no denying.
Not to mention the fact that like we're hinting at magic stuff.
Oh,
it's like so even with Wanda, like in these episodes, we're now hinting at Wanda's power is so powerful she can warp reality, and I'm like, that's a really fancy way of saying magic. We have Doctor Strange, who's like got his second movie coming out soon, which apparently links into this, which they've already confirmed. The two of these link, which with what's coming up, it makes sense. It's like, so magic is obviously something that's prevalent here.
Yeah.
So you never know. All right, let's keep jumping forward to this because
let's do it.
Because we got this. So then episode 2, basically they see the beekeeper and Wanda literally just goes no, and rewinds back to them being inside, looking at each other, and she's pregnant.
Just out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, she's pregnant, and then we literally see the collar appear like round the room, and we warp into the 1970s.
One thing that I've noticed is like anytime that the reality of the show is questioned or is like interfered with, there's a distraction. Like in this instance, it was her getting pregnant, and then her changing the colors, and then in later episodes, it's something else happening. So,
hey, CB, how's it going? Saying amazing to see the Taka charity starting already. Amazing, guys. Yeah, we're just trying to get some word out. Obviously, we're not doing our fundraiser until like April, but I want to at least get the name of Taka out there so that people are kind of aware of it already. And hell, if you want to go ahead and donate to it already,
do it.
Go ahead and do it. I'm not going to stop you. And they definitely want more supporters, so yeah, go for it. So episode 3 is when things really kind of start to change.
It goes nuts because this is mainly a sword episode outside of
No,
the
this isn't Sword yet.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Episode 4 is the Sword episode. Yeah,
That's right.
episode
That's right. That's right.
3 leads up to it because episode 3 is a color, which like we get like Wanda being checked out. She's pregnant.
That's right.
And
That's
she
right.
literally goes from being, "Hey, I've got babies in me," to 9 months. I'm giving birth within an episode.
Yeah.
So these kids are growing, and we get a lot more in that on episode 5 when we go back in. The major things, like we get a lot of the tropes of the wife giving birth and the doctor's about to go on vacation and stuff, and Vision is a worrying father. The major takeaways from this one are, again, we get Agnes coming around. We're going to get into her a lot more. So like still kind of making her presence felt, there to help, there to try and be involved. But then we get an interesting bit later with her. As she's outside talking to this other neighbor who seems to have the same kind of mentality she does.
And he's glitching through a wall.
Yeah.
Trimming hedges. That was earlier in that.
Like he's cutting the hedges and literally keeps going through the wall, and Vision kind of goes, "I think you went a bit farther." It's like, oh yeah, like it's nothing.
And then he keeps doing it and staring at him.
But then like Vision sees them talking and kind of like is getting suspicious or something and goes over to talk to them. Yeah. And at this point, Geraldine's visiting, Monica Rambeau's visiting. And it's Agnes that says to him, like, she's a bit strange. She doesn't have a home around here. Like, she's not from here. So, like, that plays a lot into her character because she seems to not be under control. Seems to have an idea what's going on. But this other dude is having the conversation with her. Seems to have a little bit. Which I'm kind of like, I don't know if that's going to come back in some way or not.
Yeah.
But Vision gets really suspicious, like, what's going on? Like, what do you mean she doesn't have a home around here? What do you mean? At the time, we then see, like, Wanda is in the house with Geraldine. Well, Vision's, like, running to get the doctor and stuff before that conversation. We see her, like, magically manifesting stuff. And it becomes the whole trope of, like, her trying to hide, like, she makes, like, a bird appear.
Yeah.
The stork. Like, the stork, that was it, it's a stork. And trying to distract like Geraldine because she can't get rid of the stork and stopping her. So very kind of sitcom-y moments.
Yeah.
And then like she ends up helping deliver the babies and they get the doctor there. Vision goes
and there's
out.
a really cool bit of dialogue there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go for it.
I saw the Infinity Bros call this out, and then I saw another channel call it out. There's a really cool bit of dialogue between Geraldine and Wanda that simulates the dialogue that Wanda had with Vision when she was destroying the stone in Infinity War. Talking about, I can't do this, and Vision's like, you can, and it's just the back and forth, and it's almost 1-to-1. It's just a really cool callback.
That's a really cool callback. I missed that one, but yeah, that's a really cool bit of callback there. Wanda ends up giving birth to the kids, and she starts talking to Geraldine about it and stuff, and because she ends up having twins. We thought it was one baby, and she ends up having twins, which is, of course, it's like the kids that Billy and Tommy. Yep. Which, if you know your Marvel comics, that was Wanda's kids. They were Billy and Tommy, and they grew up to be Young Avengers and all that stuff. And where they go with this, I don't know, but we might be seeing them stick around, depending. But Monica's like, Geraldine starts asking her questions, and she starts to kind of open up a little bit. Hey, Chunk the Huck, thank you so much coming in with that gifted sub for CV. Thank you so much for that, brother. I appreciate it.
You're a beast.
Let me do a shout out for CV as well, because I should have done it when she came in. But yeah, so go ahead and give CV a follow if you aren't already. Absolutely awesome streamer, love her to bits. Go and show her some love, Comic Clan. But yeah, so we get the Geraldine kind of asking about her family, and we get the first real mention of the fact that she had a twin brother herself. We've not heard Wanda talk about Pietro really since Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
She's really not mentioned it at all. Really not mentioned it at all. And then out of nowhere, Geraldine goes, he was killed by Ultron.
Yeah. She glitched out of the.
And it was like, and like everything in that moment just stopped. It was like,
I was like,
what? And even like we see that in the next episode when we see Sword and they're kind of watching this stuff, they're even taken back by it and stuff, and it's like, oh my goodness, she mentioned Ultron.
Yeah.
And that like wakes Wanda up a little bit to realise you're not from around here. And she looks at the logo on her neck and is like she recognises the logo, but she doesn't call out exactly what it is.
And can I say that Wanda in this scene is absolutely terrifying?
I'd say, and can't blame her for not mentioning him. He was embarrassing.
It was embarrassing, but she was absolutely terrifying in this scene.
Oh my goodness, Wanda, and from episode 3 onward, this woman is scary.
Yeah, like even more so than when she fought Thanos. Like she is legit terrifying.
Yeah, so like she throws Geraldine. We don't see how badly until like the next episode. But we see her like all of a sudden coming out of the thing, and she's basically says it's Wanda.
A cool little nod is if you look at that, she actually breaks through 4 walls. So she broke.
Yeah, I seen someone calling it out like she literally breaks the 4th wall. Cool. And like, okay, that's a cute little nod. I like that. But she like lands out of there, and that's where that episode cuts off.
Yeah.
Then
she says it's all Wanda.
Yeah, it's all Wanda. Hinting that this is all Wanda that's behind this, and that's where it ends. And it's like, okay, we are getting into some deep stuff now, and it's like, we've kind of hinted at stuff, guys. Like, if you've still not seen this, I want to see it before we talk about it. This is where we delve deep. 4 and 5 is when stuff really happens.
Pops off, man. It pops off.
Last spoiler warning: if you want to go and get it checked out yourself, watch this later to hear our thoughts on it. Now's your chance. You don't want
spoilers? Why are you still here?
Yeah, it's like we've been gentle going episode by episode, but 4 and 5 we're going in. It's like this is like big, because episode 4 we go back, we go outside of where it's taking place into the real world, and the first thing we see is the reversing of.
Oh, this is one of the coolest scenes of this entire show. So awesome.
We see the blip, as it's referred to in the MCU, being reversed. Yeah. Monica Rambeau had been blipped by Thanos and comes back, reappears, kind of, and it was so cool to see, because we never really got to see the return of everyone.
Yeah.
Because we were with the Avengers when they were bringing everyone back. So we got to see everyone disappear, and they come back the exact same way. They come back like the ash, like reforming into people. I'm like, it's so weird. And like Monica's in the hospital, she was in there with her mom. And it's like, wow, there was so much chaos.
So much.
This hospital.
I never really thought about that. Like, that would be bananas if that actually happened and people just came back after 5 years exactly where they left off. Like, there's so much collateral damage that could happen.
Just shouting out, no worries, B. Gilbert. Go ahead, man. Thank you for popping in. Well, you could, bro. Definitely don't want to spoil anything. If you got a chance to watch the show before you hear us spoiling it, go and watch it. It's worth checking out. I mean, we talked about this during the week. I was like, I had no investment in Wandavision when they were announcing shows for Disney Plus. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen with this. I'm sure it'll be okay. And I'm like, this show has blown me away.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's completely blown me away when we got into episode 4 and 5 and we dove in. I'm like, okay, I'm in. I'm all in now. But yeah, so like we get the blip, the return back, and the opening scene is like heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because we learn that not only did Monica reappear in the hospital, she reappeared in the room that she'd been sitting in when she disappeared, which was the room that her mom was in. Her mom had been diagnosed with cancer and was getting the confirmation that her cancer was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was blipped out of existence. And 2 years after she was blipped, because remember they were gone for 5 years.
Yeah.
2 years after she was blipped, her mom's cancer returned and she died.
Yeah.
So not only is Monica coming back from being gone for 5 years, not having a clue what's happened to the world, having no memory of these last 5 years, what's taken place, what's gone on, but your mom, who you saw being healed of cancer, being cured of it, not only do you know your mom had no idea what happened to you and you disappeared, got cancer again, had cancer, and had to deal with it without you by her side, and then died from it, all while you were gone.
Yeah.
And there was nothing you could do about it. There was nothing you could do, and I'm like, that first scene was enough to end me. I was like, wow.
Well, I didn't know what was happening at first. I'm like, what the heck
Yeah,
is going on? And then I was like, oh no, they're
like
showing the blip in reverse.
I had no clue, and then it was like, and then it kind of hits you, and you're like, whoa, this
Yeah.
is nuts. It's
I was like,
so
this is one
cool,
of the
but it's
coolest
nuts.
scenes. Yeah. Yeah, it was so
It's
cool.
so cool. So then we cut to her going back to Sword, and like we're literally like, if you had an inkling Sword was here, boom, we're straight into Sword
Yeah.
headquarters, straight
And
into
we're
the opening lobby, which funnily enough looks a lot like Shield.
It really does.
Like that big hallway in Shield with the big statue in the middle, it looks just like that. I'm like, did you literally just repurpose this building? Is it literally where Shield was? Because it looks like the same building.
So we're introduced to this really creepy acting director Tyler Hayward.
Yeah, he doesn't get as bad at the beginning. He looks like he's just the guy that ended up taking over and stuff when our mom
There's something
passed
up with
and
that dude, man.
And then as it goes on, like into the end of episode 4, into episode 5, like, okay, this is like, there's something going on with this dude.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
he's Mephisto.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe, I don't know. So there's this missing person that Jimmy Woo is talking about.
yeah, so like
Yeah.
she goes and she gets to Sword, and like her ID card doesn't work and stuff. Get a really like freaking rude guy at the front desk who's like that. She's like, I work here. I'm like, oh, you didn't know. Well, obviously not if you can't get through the thing. And I'm like, son, I would have knocked
Thanks
your
a lot,
head off.
genius.
I would have knocked your head off its shoulders at that point. I've been going for 5 years because of Thanos. I'm like,
Hey, I know Captain Marvel, all right?
oh, but that's another conversation for the next
It is.
episode
It
too.
is.
So many like callbacks to stuff here is so
Dude,
good.
that's the thing with this show. There's like every
Ah.
every bit of dialogue, every plot point is like a callback to something else. I love it.
So
It's like Easter Egg City.
It
I love
really is. Like, literally, go find YouTube videos and get, like, Easter eggs you missed in WandaVision. I guarantee
If I can
you.
recommend one, New Rockstars is a
Mm.
really good channel. They dissect every episode and they find everything.
It's worth checking out to get the Easter eggs, because you've missed them. No matter what ones you caught, you missed some.
Yeah, you've missed some.
I
Yep.
guarantee it. So she goes in, and the director, like, does a little apology thing, because I think, like, Monica was meant to be one of the next in line to possibly be director after her mom.
Uh-huh.
And then she got blipped out, her mom died, so it ends up going to him and stuff. And by her mom's own order, a rule that she put in place. Hey, Frostbite, how's it going, brother? Good to see you in chat. Thank you for popping in. As she's talking to the director, she finds out, hey, you've been grounded. You're not allowed to go up. You're not allowed to go into the, out into space, out into what's happening there. And she's like, well, who made that rule? And he's like, your mom did.
Yeah.
She literally put a rule in place. Shout out to
Wait.
Frostbite. Go and give him a follow, guys. Absolutely love to do.
Which, why would she think that her daughter would be coming back? Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get
all
that.
I can think about is hope.
Yeah, I guess so.
Is hope that, like, if they ever come back, like, this is what I want. Like, literally, that's all I can think of is the thing for it. And of course, it ends up taking place, and they come back. So she's grounded. And she's sent on, kind of like I talked about, they were doing mystery cases. And this is where people have started throwing out the idea of her, Jimmy Woo, and Darcy, who comes back, doing like an X-Files-ish show, all these weird things.
Yeah.
Because she's sent to meet up with someone from the FBI outside the city. Oh, you're just in time, Frostbite, if you're here about WandaVision.
Yeah, we're on episode 4, but we just started.
We're on episode 4, but 4 and 5 are literally where everything picks up anyway.
Yeah.
So she gets to the town of Westview, which is where Wanda and Vision have been living, and she finds Jimmy Woo there. Jimmy Woo, if you don't remember, was one of the FBI agents in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yep.
Really cool callback to that when he pulls out his car. He does like a sleight of hand trick,
Up close magic school.
which was what Scott Lang did to him in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and he really liked the trick and really wanted to do it. So he's actually gone and learned it, which I thought was a nice little callback. And he basically says, like, he starts talking about a person that he was looking for, and says, so it's a missing person case? He's like, no, it's a missing town. Which I'd like to point out, they're on the road, there's cops like right at the sign where Westview is, and you can see like Westview and this town beyond it.
Yeah.
But like they walk up and he says, come here, watch this. Yeah, Randall Park's amazing, Frostbite.
Randall Park.
Him as
Have
Woo
you
is-
seen Fresh Off the Boat? That's my wife's favorite show. He's so good in it.
But like he walks up to these cops and he basically goes like, it's like, so he asks about Westview, and they're like, there isn't a Westview. And it's literally got them saying there isn't a Westview with the sign behind them clearly saying Westview.
Yeah, and they're like, there's an Eastview. See, I was confused right there because they were literally standing in front of the sign. They're like, yeah, there's no
Yeah,
Westview.
and they kind of hint at the fact of like that. It's like, wait, what if it's not just the town that's missing? What if it affects stuff around the town? Like, maybe we're not aware of the issue because we're not in close proximity. We came from outside of the area.
Yeah.
So maybe there's almost like a cloak on it from like around to the people in the nearby vicinity. I live in Asian influenced culture for a while, so a lot of the humour hits home for me. Yeah, there you go. Frostbite's a fan of Off the Boat as well, or Fresh Off the Boat.
One thing I feel like I need to call out that's kind of a running theme through the show is there's a hexagonal pattern in every all of the sitcom.
Oh, you alright there, bro?
Sorry, yeah, my daughter came in. So there's a hexagon like theme throughout the first handful of episodes, and it shows up in a lot of different places. It shows up when the episodes go off the air, the closing credits, everything like that. And then when we're in the sword like tent outside of Westview, you can see that there's a pattern around the town of a hexagon. So
yeah, like it's very much a thing that's prevalent, and it also comes back as well as they keep referring to stuff as hex.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that's going on in the town, what Wanda's doing is a hex, and it's like, okay, so we're definitely hinting up at that. Yeah, Isaac, we've not gotten to that bit yet. We're on episode 4. We're going to talk about that pretty much last because that's going to be like the rest of the conversation once we mention it.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest, So Wu starts to check it. They say bye to the police officers, and Monica goes up to the basically the border of Westview and sees that there's something there. It's very much like TV static look to it, which is obviously the transmission that's coming out, and she goes to put her hand up to it, and then she does it a second time, and then she gets sucked in, and that's how she ends up getting into Westview. Yeah,
so this episode is kind of like a flashback that goes back into the third episode.
It's basically like
shown from a different perspective.
Yeah, it's basically what's been happening outside the town. Yeah. Less has been going on inside the town, because they mention, I think it's in episode 5, that this has been going on for 9 days. So basically, if you take episode 1 to 3 as this is what's happening inside Westview, the rest of the stuff in episode 4 is like this is what's led on outside the town up to this point.
Yeah.
So Wu calls in Sword. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, yeah, by the way, your agent just disappeared. So we find out that they're getting, they're bringing in experts to check this out. A lot of experts in a lot of different fields. Don't care about any of them except for one.
Yeah.
We literally don't see any of them ever again except for one, who is Darcy Lewis. Who Darcy is, of course, from Thor, and Thor: The Dark World was the intern for Jane Foster, who she's now a doctor in her own right. Mm-hmm. Now, which I'm not gonna lie, see, when she showed up, I literally went, "Oh no!"
I know. So that's the thing. Like,
I was like, "Oh no, not her."
I think in the Thor movies they played her like, and I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but they played her kind of like ditzy, like dumb almost.
No, they played her like an idiot.
Yeah, all right, so I was trying to be nice, but yeah.
How are you an intern for someone at this level in any scientific field if you were this dumb?
Yeah.
Like, so literally.
I had the exact same thought when I saw her, and I was like, oh no. But I think they've kind of like, not retconned her character a bit, but they've kind of added some meat to her
pulled it back. Like, she's still got the kind of, I don't want to say like airy personality, very light, bubbly kind of personality. Yeah. But
you can tell she's super smart.
She clearly knows her stuff now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, she clearly knows her stuff, and I'm like, oh, we've actually gave her a character.
Yeah.
They realised, like a few years on, ditzy isn't a character trait anymore.
Yeah.
It's just annoying, it's like, so we get her in, and she actually becomes a very prevalent part of it, and like her and Jimmy Woo kind of like team up almost for this episode, because she's like the brought in expert and he's the FBI dude, and Sword is very much keeping all these people they bring in on the outskirts of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Don't know why, because it's like, we can handle this, then why are we here?
Yeah.
But like, Darcy's the one that finds out there's a transmission going on, that there's something coming through that asks for them, specifically for an old-time TV, like not a big flat screen, one of the old school ones, which they find, and we find out it's her at the end of episode 1 that was watching the show and taking notes.
Yeah, it's her hand.
It's her that's been taking notes, it's been sitting there watching the show.
And one of the things to call out is, so Sword sets up this like facility outside of Westview. There's a ton of tents, ton of vehicles, ton of personnel, and inside the tent that Darcy's working on, there's like an Easter egg board that has all of the characters that we've been introduced to so far in the show, their real like driver's license in the real world, and like some information about them, like how they got there, who they really are.
Except
Except
Agnes doesn't have a driver's license up there. She doesn't
nor does
have
Ralph.
a real name.
Ralph's
Ralph.
not on there either.
It's like, but
And Ralph, for the uninitiated, Ralph is this mysterious husband that Agnes keeps referencing that
Yeah.
we've never seen.
maybe Ralph's Mephisto.
Maybe.
You know, but like Agnes at the very least, because Ralph you can throw out as just a character name that's mentioned. You know, you get that in sitcoms. The neighbor that mentions the husband that you never see. You know, but like we have met Agnes time and time again. She is on that board and she does not have a real identity. There is no hint of how she got there. There is no hint of who she really is. And it's like, it just keeps getting deeper. Something is going on with her.
Yeah.
Part of me is like, is she the big bad that's really behind this? Or are they really dropping hints like that to make us think that? Because I can see Marvel doing a 180 on it and going, yeah, she's not.
I think they're more than hints, though. They're like saying...
But it's one of those things, like, the only hint we're getting is that she knows more than what's going on. That she's not under the same control the rest of the town is. But that doesn't necessarily mean she's behind it. You know what I mean? I can see...
I don't know. I don't know, because like even her interactions with the other characters inside of Westview, like, I don't know if you caught it, but like one of the first couple episodes when the mailman, she's like, Agnes is like a gatekeeper, literally at the gate of Wandavision's house, and the mailman walks by and she does like a fake gun salute, like finger gun. And the mailman looks legitimately terrified, like,
yeah,
and then
that's
he
true.
like kind of backs away. So I think she not only knows what's going on, and she's not able to be controlled by Wanda based off of the last episode. I think she has some authority in what's going on. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like there's definitely something there for it. I'm still very much, I could see it turn around, but definitely there's been a lot of hints that she could be the one doing that. Where we, so like we get all the stuff with Sword. We find out what took place, like them sending in a drone to try and get a view of what's happening. Whenever something enters the field, it turns into something prevalent in that world. That's why like the drone turns into the toy helicopter that Wanda finds. That's why we see a guy that's trying to go underground. And like a
containment suit.
Yeah, a containment suit. Because they're trying to protect him from whatever's going on. But when he crosses the border underground, the border goes right through. So it turns into a beekeeper suit, because that would be relevant to the era. And then the rope that's around him turns into a jump rope.
Yeah.
And gets pulled back, and at the end of it's a jump rope still attached to this cable. Then we get, like, you know, Darcy's trying to work out if they can use the frequency to send a message, and that's when we hear that it's Jimmy Woo that's trying to talk to Wanda through the radio. But they're not sure because Wanda doesn't react to it, really. And they can't tell if she's hearing it because Wanda, like, edits footage. Like, they start to find out Wanda does, like, jump cuts and different things and changes camera angles, so if anyone's looking in, they don't really see the full picture of what's going on.
Yeah.
So they don't know if the message is getting through, if they're able to contact her.
And the thing is, in that exact instance, like in the show, when they first showed it from the show perspective, and she hears that voice come through, again, when something is breaking her out of this mental thing that she's in, there's always a distraction. And in that case, Dottie, her neighbor, like that awesome woman, she shatters the glass in her hand. And when Jimmy Woo and Darcy are watching that footage back, like you said, it's edited. So that part where she shatters the glass in her hand is edited out, so you don't see that part.
Chunk the Hut saying as well, yes, they absolutely played her like an idiot in those movies, meaning Darcy, and because, well, that's the character she always plays. So glad they're playing her differently in this, though. Yeah, I'm really glad they've redone her character, which, don't get me wrong, she's made a career out of playing the Ditz. I mean, that was like, was it Two Broke Girls was like the show she was on and stuff, and she's basically made a career out of that. Like, she doesn't need to be playing the idiot. It's like, I like this version of Darcy Lewis a lot better.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we try all that sort of stuff. They try to find out, and then the big thing at the end of this episode we get the full confrontation between Monica Rambeau and Wanda, and it's like, oh my goodness, Wanda is scary.
Absolutely terrifying.
She literally, like, just when she turns and those eyes glow red and you see the power in her hand, it's like, oh my goodness. You know, it's like we get the mention of her brother, we get the mention of Ultron leading to that, and starts to really freaking, like, what's that logo on your necklace? Because she's wearing a necklace that literally has the sword logo.
Yeah.
And it's like you're not from here, and it's like,
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, dude. I keep doing that.
Can you tell Nitro's very excited?
One absolutely terrifying clip in that episode is when they're showing the footage of her casting Geraldine out of the town, and she's just done that, and you see Vision pop up in the background, and she turns to look at him, and it's dead Vision with a caved in forehead, gray white eyes.
This is dead.
Then she looks away from him real quick and looks back at him, and he's fine.
It's the body, which is really starting to give the hint of, like, is she literally just animating Vision's
That's
dead
terrifying
body?
And disgusting.
I'm like, is that what she's doing? Because, like, that's a really big possibility right now.
That's disturbing.
And it's like, oh my goodness, like, it's one of those things of, like, I want to see the gap between Endgame and this. Because she seemed fine. She was talking with Hawkeye at the end of Endgame. She was getting ready to accept this. And then we kind of get a hint at what was taking place, but it, like, made her mentally snap.
Yeah.
In some way. And I'm like, I want to see what took place with that. But yeah, so, like, she goes full on Scarlet Witch, launches Monica where everyone else doesn't see it. Because the wall she launches her through is the front door, which Vision's out there having a conversation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
he comes back in the house, never seen anything like that, and asks where Geraldine went, and she went, oh, she went home.
Yeah.
And just, like, plays it off like that, which is then, like, we see her coming out of the thing and stuff, and then it's like, yeah, like you said, the dead Vision bit. And,
dude,
like,
that was terrifying.
That's creepy as, like, that was like, whoa. Okay. It was moments like that makes me just feel we're on the verge of horror elements. Like, it's not a full-blown horror show, it's definitely still a Marvel show.
Yeah.
But they're really touching horror elements of it.
Yeah, so, I mean, what are the implications of that? Because Darcy says, like, when they're watching and she sees Vision for the first time on the screen, she's like, he's dead, right? Like,
well, yeah, because at Endgame, because it's after Endgame, we've seen, like, you know, Monica's back, so we're after the blip being reversed. So Vision's dead. Everyone knows Vision's dead. And then
he's dead.
Jumping into episode 5 with this, because that kind of starts to talk about some of this. So this is it, guys. Big spoiler coming ahead for this one.
Humongous.
Like
multiverse spoiler.
Yeah.
What? Who said that?
Who said that? Who talked about multiverses? We will in a moment. But, like, yeah, so we find out that actually, 9 days ago from this moment, because, like, Monica comes out and she gets checked, and when they do a briefing, we find out 9 days ago Wanda broke into a sword facility where they were holding Vision's body and basically took Vision's body.
Yeah, and the scene that it showed of her, it's like it's CCTV footage of her breaking in. Like, they have completely dissected Vision.
Yeah.
Like, he is in, like, seven different parts.
It's like, and the way they shoot it as well is like she just found out. Because this isn't a sneaking in, this isn't pulling his body out. She literally goes in, charging, like, full-blown power walk, boom, throwing doors open, boom, throwing people across the room. And like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I think what's taking place, because they kind of don't say what was going on, like, why does Sword have Vision's body? Why is that a thing? Because, like, they said that apparently, like, they were scared about him becoming a weapon, and it was actually against Vision's wishes to be resurrected and to be brought back in case he was used as a weapon. I think that's actually what Sword was doing.
I agree. Because they said they were working on AI and robotics.
They were trying to either use him as a weapon, or they were trying to use him to create other, like, AI and stuff that they could utilize. Wanda found out and took him out of there. I think that's what was going on with Sword with that. We also get the director guy being very prejudiced, is almost like the word that's popping to mind, against Wanda.
Basically calling her a terrorist, right?
Yeah, calling her a terrorist, talking about her background, like, you know, that we knew about her, that she grew up in Sokovia, that who her parents were, that Pietro was her brother, that the Mind Stone was used to experiment on them by Baron von Strucker, that she was a big enemy against like the Avengers and stuff, and like Jimmy almost like has to correct him during it and says, yeah, until she changed and joined them.
Yeah.
She's been the Avenger for quite a few years now, it's like she's been fighting on this side of like, like the woman went toe to toe with Thanos.
Yeah.
It's like she's clearly on our side. She's clearly not a terrorist, and even Monica tries to like back him up and says, I don't think she's a terrorist, and like she threw you out of there. She threw you through walls, like you said. Talked about the pain that you were in the heart, and she says, yeah, she also protected me. She could have just killed me.
There's a cool little exchange there between Jimmy Woo and Monica Rambeau. Not Monica Rambeau. Yeah.
Darcy.
No, Monica Rambeau. Where they're talking about, how they're talking about Scarlet Witch's power, and she's like, yeah, she almost single-handedly destroyed Thanos, and then Jimmy Woo was like, yeah, well, so did Captain Marvel, and there's this look from Monica Rambeau that would seem to indicate that her and Captain Marvel are not on speaking terms.
No. My guess for that is it's to do with her mom dying.
Yeah, I think
my guess for that is that when we see Captain Marvel leave, as far as we know, she never came back until the blip happened.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is that she'd reconnected with her friend in Captain Marvel. She went off to help these aliens, and she never came back.
Mm-hmm.
That when her mom got sick, Carol wasn't there. When her mom was struggling, Carol wasn't there. And then when the blip happened, her mom died alone.
Mm-hmm.
And Carol didn't come back and help and do anything. So my guess is linked to all of that. There might be more to it, obviously. It's been a number of years. It's been like 30 years since, the events of Captain Marvel, because they took place in the 90s. But it's like, that's the thing that's clicking with me of like, that's probably it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree.
That's probably what it's linked to. Speaking of Monica as well, we start to get a lot more idea what's going on. Like, they can't take scans of her.
Yeah, her x-rays are just basically whited out.
Are blank, which would suggest that she's putting out some sort of like radiation.
Yeah.
Which is a hint towards the fact that Monica Rambeau is actually a superhero within the Marvel universe.
Photon, right?
Yeah, Photon.
Is her name Photon? I don't know a whole lot about her.
Yeah, I don't know a massive amount about her, but I think we're hinting towards her. This could be the start of her getting her powers. Which, FYI, Photon, I believe, is actually a mutant.
Huh. Okay.
Which means whatever Wanda did, she technically created Photon, which we know Wanda in the books had the power to give and take mutant abilities. So are we going to see Wanda be the reason for mutants in the universe?
I think so. I think that's pretty much a given, in my opinion.
Very possible. The ending might hint as well. What am I talking about? Goodness knows. Let's see. So yeah, we get a lot of stuff about her, like what Wanda's powers are actually capable of. Monica goes and shoots her clothes that she came out in, and the fact of that they're made out of Kevlar. Yeah. They're made out of bulletproof material, which means the clothes she was wearing were just repurposed.
Yeah.
I love the use of family ties set in episode 5. Yeah, absolutely. That was a great opening scene for episode 5. The family ties.
I definitely got
painting.
I definitely got a Full House vibe as well.
Yeah, there was family ties and Full House were definitely using the opening of that one, 100%. So we get the whole hint of that. They start to realize like whatever goes in there turns into something, so they send in a drone
from the 80s.
From the 80s, because it's now the 80s era, so that way it won't be transformed into anything. It's 80s tech, and Monica tries to talk to Wanda through it.
Oof.
Wanda, in a black and white image projected by the drone, still manages to have red eyes. And then terrifying. She starts to lose control of the drone, and the director says, fire. Monica's shocked because she's like, wait, there's no weapons on it, and one of the other guys fires. And then the next thing we know, there's a disturbance at the wall.
Whew.
And what happens is Scarlet Witch comes walking out, which I thought was really interesting.
Holding the drone.
Which the hint of like her being trapped is definitely broken.
Yeah, she's wearing her Avengers uniform.
Yeah, she can come and go as she pleases. She can walk right out of there. Comes out in her full Scarlet Witch attire, dragging the drone and throws it to them. And basically tells them to leave, to not
is absolutely
come
terrifying.
back again.
Yeah.
Monica tries to talk to her, says like that, look, you confided in me and let me help birth your kids in this.
Yeah.
Like, you clearly, it's like that, you clearly see me as some sort of an ally. And it's like that, look, maybe we can work to get what we want. And she goes, I already have what I want. Which I did like as well when she talks in this scene. There is a little hint of the accent being back.
Yeah, I like that.
The Sokovian accent. Not drastically, it's not thick, but there's definitely a hint of the Sokovian accent. Which I'm glad that they kept that of a little bit. But yet in the sitcom she doesn't have it. It's a nice little touch.
Yeah.
And then as she's walking away, as if this woman isn't terrifying enough, literally zaps her powers, and everyone that's got a gun laser sighted on her all turn and aim at like the acting director. Which
is a really cool callback to both of her fathers, played by Michael Fassbender and Sir Ian McKellen in both X-Men universes, where they do the same thing.
They flip the gun.
They do the same thing.
Yep,
so,
100%.
Super cool callback.
It's a really cool callback. It's a really cool moment, and it makes that woman terrifying.
Absolutely.
Like, terrifying. Scarlet Witch is like, at this point, like, we're really trying to get over Scarlet Witch is probably the most powerful and most scary being in the MCU.
Yeah. Which, there are theories that the villain for Doctor Strange 2 is actually Wanda.
Yeah, that's been one of the theories of how that's going to cross over. So I'm like, I'd be interested to see.
That would be very interesting.
Which they're definitely setting up that that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
She's definitely got very villain tendencies right now, but
I don't think that's the case.
No, I don't think she is. But I can see how people would start to think that, especially off of the show so far. There's definitely elements of it. Because like her being able to leave the wall, for example, and confront them is very much hinting at she's the one in full control.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's taking place outside the wall. Now I want to drift back inside Westview.
Yeah.
Because some scary stuff happens in this freaking town in this episode.
Yes.
First of all, the babies. It starts off very jokingly. They can't get the babies to sleep. Not a problem after a while, but we'll get to that in a sec. We get Agnes making her stopover.
At the right time.
At the right time, when the kids are struggling, they need help putting them down. Vision starts to have a father kind of freak out moment.
Mm-hmm.
And we see Agnes stop as if she stumbles over her lines.
Mm-hmm.
And says, should I take that again? Like, should I take that from the top again?
Yeah.
As if she's an actress playing a part. And she's asking Wanda as if Wanda's telling her what to do.
Mm-hmm.
We see this, though, in contrast to later on, we see that there's actually mind control taking place on these people in this town. That's not the case with Agnes.
Correct.
She's fully aware she's playing a role.
Mm-hmm.
Whether she's in control or Wanda's in control is up for debate, but she's clearly aware of what's going on. To the point of she asked, should I take this again from the top? Wanda looks like flustered.
Like, what are you talking about?
Like, and I can't tell if it's flustered because she's breaking character or she's flustered because she doesn't know what she's talking about.
See, I think it's the latter, which is... I think there's some... I do think, obviously, Wanda is causing a lot of this, if not most of it.
Yeah.
But I do think there is another force at work that is piggybacking off of
but that's the question,
her trauma.
Yeah, but that's the question, though. She's in control of most of this, but is she the one in control of her powers? Correct. Or is someone controlling her to use her powers? Like, she's using her powers, but is it her choice to do it, or is someone manipulating it?
Yeah.
Because she seems to be confused, and even Vision pulls her aside and kind of goes, like, isn't it, what was that?
Yeah.
And she's like, what are you talking about? It's like, with Agnes, right now, like, literally what just happened, like, what the heck was that? And she's like, oh, nothing, she must just be tired. And it's like, okay, and we move on, and then then we get completely distracted from that, kind of like what you talked about. Distractions come up when things start to become real. The babies stop crying, and they get so excited, and they go over to the cribs, and the babies are gone.
Yeah.
And then they turn around when they hear mommy, daddy, and they're little boys.
They're 5 years old.
They're 5 within moments.
One important call out, though, I think, there's a whole running theme of Wanda has control over people's minds in this town.
Absolutely.
She cannot mind control her kids.
Yeah, that's
right. She cannot control her kids, because remember, she's trying to magic them to sleep. She's like, I got it. She tries to magic them to sleep,
and it doesn't work on them.
So that's a really important call out.
Which I'm wondering if that's because her magic created them,
Mm-hmm.
so it can't control them, sort of thing. Or I wonder if there's some, because they definitely have a clue of what's going on as well.
In my opinion, I think it's just indicating how powerful those kids are.
Yeah,
I think I could be wrong, but
it'll be interesting to see as well how that plays out with them. But yeah, so then it moves on. We get the usual kind of tropes. We get a very, very big sitcom trope of the kids find a puppy.
Yeah.
Which is the most absolutely freaking cute dog I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
Can I
super cute.
just say the thing is adorable? And I'm like, I see if my kids brought that dog to me, I'd be keeping it as well, you know.
I'm like, can we get another one?
I know, like, the thing is so cute and adorable. Which, shout out, by the way, it ends up getting the name Sparky.
Yeah.
Which is a callback to the Vision comic from Tom King, when Vision
It's a really dark comic.
Yeah, it's a really dark comic, but Vision creates his own family in that. He creates a
Yeah.
synthezoid wife, son, daughter, and a synthezoid dog that they call Sparky. So it's actually a callback to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he walks into the kitchen when the kids are asking mom about it, and his human form, and Wanda kind of goes to him like, "Why are you covered up?" So, "Oh, you know, people just tend to pop over."
Yeah.
At which point, Agnes walks through the door with a doghouse.
Yeah.
And Vision makes note of the fact of, like, she came over at the exact right moment with the exact thing we need.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can see the gears, no pun intended, like the gears turning in his head, you know. It's like you can see he's starting to, like, he's getting the clue of something's not quite right.
And I think the show is indicating that Agnes somehow has a view into their house, because there's a throwaway line that she says where she's talking about her magic husband Ralph, who we never seen, and she says that he basically calls her nickname is Tiger. His nickname for her is Tiger. And throughout that episode, there's a toy tiger on their kitchen table that they visibly show multiple times.
I missed that one.
I think there's an indication that somehow, some way, she's using that to look into their house, and that's how she knows how to come over at the right times with the exact right thing.
I mean, she's definitely got a connection. She knows what's going on. So yeah, we see like that going on, and the kids go off with the dog for their bit, and then we follow Vision to work.
This is freaky,
this scene. Woo. This is a horror scene.
Horror, yeah,
100%. This is a psychological horror scene. As they start to set up the computers and the work, and it's like they make the jokes like, "Oh, it's like you can talk to computers, Viz," and it's like, yeah, you know. And they get an email. And as they get the email and open it, it's actually an email from Sword.
To Darcy, right?
To Darcy, it's like it's managed to pick it up, and he's getting information that something's going on. And you see Vision like kind of like, I don't know if he gets information, but you see him like put his fingers on the computer at first and scanning it. So I don't know if he gets like a little burst of what's going on from that.
Yeah.
Because it's obviously linked to the outside world. It's picking up stuff from there. He then turns to Norm, his co-work best friend, and puts his fingers on his head. Oh my goodness, it was horrifying. When that man woke up, he
zaps out of his trance.
He comes out of the trance, out of the hex. I was like, oh my goodness, where am I? What's going on? I was like, oh my goodness, and basically like she's got terrified. Control of us. We're in so much pain, and it starts getting so overwhelming that Vision has to literally put him back under.
Yeah,
and it's like you start to see the facade that is on these people, of their minds being controlled, and how much control is being put on top of them.
Yeah.
And it also, as I said, it juxtapositions the fact of that Agnes does not have that.
Yeah.
Because this is what's happening to the rest of the town. And it's like, so she's got this control over everyone. And I love the fact that we go back to the house and we just jump straight into this.
Yeah.
Which we first of all get the whole Wanda's a hypocrite scene, as I like to think about it as Agnes finds Sparky after he runs away.
And she was about to bury that sucker.
Yeah, she was just about to get rid of that dog until the kids showed
up. And not say anyone.
But the dog's dead.
Yeah.
And the boys who... I forgot to mention as well, the boys are now 10. Yeah. Because they got told they couldn't have a dog unless they were at least 10 years old, and the boys aged themselves up to 10. And they find the dog, and they keep begging Mommy to bring the dog back, and she says, no, it's like, we can't do that, you know, like hinting at the lesson of like we have to learn from this and we have to not do it, and it's like hypocrite. literally living with your dead husband. Hypocrite.
Well, and the kids are like, yeah, you can bring him back to life.
It's like, yeah, you can do
it's
that.
like a given. Like, yeah, you can do that.
It's like, yeah, you're capable of that. And it's like, they know. Like, they know who their mom is. You know, it's like, it's the fact that she's not got gifts. And, oh, I forgot to mention as well, during that opening scene, we also get hints that Wanda's becoming more lax with her powers. She gives the dog like a dog collar, like right in front of Agnes, and Vision calls her out on it. And she says, I don't want to hide anymore, and you shouldn't hide either. Like, saying that he should just be full Vision. But we get the showdown. It's probably the best way to describe it is Vision confronts Wanda.
Ooh.
That he basically freed Norm and found this scared man who wanted to get a phone and check on his sister and his family. Yeah. And he was scared of you and like, what you're doing is wrong. And we see, like we said, when something starts to come close, a distraction happens. He literally tells Wanda, like, you can't control me the way you're controlling them. Yeah. And she hints at, oh, can I not?
It's such a cool scene, though.
It's like, oh, can I not? And like literally starts rolling credits. And Vision basically goes, no.
Yeah.
Follows her through, which great scene transition, by the way, because when they come through to the living room, he's now full Vision. When he was coming out of the kitchen, he's in full human, and when he gets into the living room, he's full Vision. I'm like, that's a really great scene transition. They got that perfect. And he starts to confront her, and she starts to like hide away, and Vision like flies up into the air.
He's in a rage.
He is in full rage, and Wanda does the same. She goes into the air with her power starting to come out. And we start to get the hint of where Vision's coming from, because Vision says that he doesn't remember anything before Westview.
Yeah.
He doesn't remember his life. Like, he knows who he is, he knows who she is, but he doesn't know what's outside of Westview. He doesn't remember his life before this. So like, she's resurrected him, but he has no memory of being an Avenger. He has no memory of Thanos. He has no memory of dying.
That's sad and terrifying.
And it's like, and she's like, you just have to trust me. I'm doing this for the best. And they end up landing and talking, and he kneels down next to her, like, what you're doing is wrong.
Uh-oh, here it goes.
And the door, first thing, Agnes, go away. It's like, it's Agnes again, because she always shows up at moments like this as a distraction, or it's something else. And then it's like, interesting line. Wanda says, that wasn't me.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't have control over what just happened. Vision looks at her like he doesn't believe her, but she seems to be adamant that this isn't her. So I'm like,
dude, my heart's going 90 miles an hour while I'm watching this at this moment.
Yeah, it's like, who is it? And then she goes and answers the door, zooms in on Wanda, and then cuts. And like, you better freaking show me who's at that door. I've been waiting the whole episode. And we see Darcy watching it on screen as well, and she's in shock. Cut back. We see the camera from here. White hair.
The white hair.
Automatic thing. Oh my goodness, it's Pietro, it's Quicksilver. Oh my goodness, they got Aaron Taylor Johnson back. Oh my goodness, like, I know this is like her reality, so yeah, of course you could bring him back. Camera flips. And it's Evan Peters. It's Quicksilver, Pietro Maximoff, from the X-Men movies. From the Foxmen movies. That's what we're calling them from now on. That's how we differentiate the MCU X-Men and the Fox Universe X-Men. They're not the Foxmen. The one that only Quicksilver makes his grand entrance. I jumped for joy. Absolutely adds.
So let's take our emotion out of this scene, our fanboyness out of this scene, just for a second. Just for a second, and we'll jump back in. I promise. What do you think this is implying? Do you think that this is actually the Quicksilver from another universe that they brought into the show, or do you think they reskinned someone to look like Pietro and something is a bit off? That's how they're going to play it.
I think it's a multiverse.
Okay.
Because we got hints even before the show ever aired. They said this, along with Loki and along with Spider-Man, are all going to tie into Doctor Strange. The next Doctor Strange movie is called The Multiverse of Madness. Mm-hmm. Multiverse is going to be the full-blown deep dive into stuff. Like, Loki is looking at alternate timelines.
Yeah.
You know, because it's the Loki from one of the timelines that no longer exists when he escaped with the stone. Yeah. Spider-Man is highly hinted at it being a Spider-Verse movie.
Yep.
So I think it only makes sense that this is going to be multiverse. I think it makes only sense. Because think about it as well, we've already got confirmation as well that Deadpool 3 is taking place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a continuation of the previous Deadpool coming over to the MCU. Whether or not he's going to become like Quicksilver in the MCU and he's going to stick around, I don't know. I don't know if that door's open for that. But Marvel has done something very specific.
Yeah.
If you were just getting someone else to play Quicksilver or someone else to take on that role, you could have gotten anyone. They know the implications that they are setting up by having Evan Peters be at that door, by having the Fox's Quicksilver be there, and setting up the fact of like he is now here. Also, we get hints of the fact of like he is aware of who Wanda is, because he had a Wanda in his universe. She was still young, but he did have one. He doesn't know who Vision is. He asks who the popsicle is at the end. He doesn't know who Vision is.
All right. So I'm going to do a cop-out and say I don't know the answer to my question.
No.
Just listen.
No, you're not going to call it
right.
out.
Well, just listen. All right. So here's a running theory. I heard somebody else mention it. It makes a lot of sense to me. I don't think that's Quicksilver, personally. I think it's whoever is controlling that town in addition to Wanda. I think they are the ones who are responsible for that person showing up at the door. I don't think it's Quicksilver. What I do think, though, is that they wanted it to be, they wanted the whatever is on the outside to be Quicksilver so that she could recognize him. But obviously, they had to pull from a specific, era. They had to pull something from a specific era or it would be changed. What is the only Quicksilver from the 80s era that we have? It's Foxman, Quicksilver from the 80s that we have. So I think that's why they pulled him in. I don't know if it's actually Quicksilver, if it's actually her brother Pietro.
See, building on that would actually be why I kind of doubled down on my idea. Is I don't think Wanda's the villain.
I don't either.
I don't think she's the one doing this. I think there's someone controlling it, whether it's Agnes or whether it's someone else. I think someone has used her. Her powers are controlling the town, but someone's manipulating it. That's my theory. I think kind of like you mentioned earlier and we've been talking about, whenever something happens that's on the verge of wrecking this, a distraction happens. We've had hints at Quicksilver before. She's mentioned her brother a few times. If it was just a case of, they talked about resurrecting people. Like, she can't really do that. Like, she can't resurrect the dog and stuff. So there's been hints that we can't do that. Vision might be different because he is a synthezoid.
Yeah.
So if they were going to try and downplay Quicksilver, or like placate Wanda, like with someone that looked like him, it wouldn't be Evan Peters. It would have to be Aaron Taylor-Johnson, because that's the one she recognizes. She looks at him and there's familiarity, but it's not the brother she remembers. He actually has to tell her that, give your brother a hug.
Yeah.
I think what they've done is the fact of they have pulled him from another universe. We can't bring back Pietro that's dead. We can't bring him back. He's gone. But I can pull this Pietro from over here, who's got the same powers as him, who still has her brother, apparently not twins though, because she was younger in the X-Men universe. Go figure. But you know what I mean? It's like, so we pull him out of here. He can take the place. He can stand in. And that takes all the focus off of the argument that Wanda and Vision were having and focuses them on Pietro.
Yeah.
My question isn't even the fact of like, does Quicksilver remember Vision? My question is Vision going to remember him? Regardless of what version it is, because he doesn't remember anything outside of Westview. So has he got any recollection of her brother?
Yeah.
Who he met the previous Quicksilver. So like, I think it doubles down on the multiverse theory. Whether this is going to be the birth of mutants in the MCU, whether he's going to stick around as Quicksilver, whether any of that's going to happen, I have no clue. They would need to do some phenomenal writing for that to happen, or whether this is just like an Easter egg for the fans of like, he's going to be there, he's going to do something, and then he's going to go back to his universe. Very possibly. I don't know if he's sticking around.
I don't want to overcomplicate it, but I mean, on the one hand, if this is a multiverse introduction, the first like legit introduction to the multiverse we've had in the MCU, the
Yeah.
implications of this are just ridiculous, like
Yeah.
absolutely
But
ridiculous.
that's the thing. We already know we're getting a multiverse. Like Doctor
Yeah,
Strange's sequel is literally the multiverse, and
but we haven't actually seen it
we
in
haven't dove
play yet.
into it. But they've hinted at it even in previous
True.
movies. Spider-Man: Far From Home, Mysterio starts to talk about the fact he's from a multiverse. It ends up being not true,
Yeah.
but we get our first idea that there's a multiverse out there. Hey, Lupilama, how's it going? Thank you so much for popping in. We're just talking a little bit of WandaVision today.
I mean, however this plays out, I think it is super cool how they integrated the Foxmen universe into the MCU. That's a cool. Somebody said it was a $79 billion cameo because that's how much they paid for Fox.
Yeah, literally. But that's the thing as well, though,
yeah.
because like it's a nice little hint towards like, yes, we acknowledge this stuff was there.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be the first time that we've brought people in from out of there. Like we talked about it when we talked about Spider-Man: Far From Home. J.K. Simmons showing up at the end.
Yeah.
He was not part of the MCU. He was Jonah Jameson outside of it in the Sony world, and they brought him in. You know, this is a recasting of a character, fair enough, but he has already played Quicksilver. Could this be him coming in? We've got Deadpool coming in from the Fox universe outside, going to be coming in, which makes sense for his character. He breaks the fourth wall. He's the perfect one to do it with. But we did ask the question as well, does that mean we're going to get like Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Colossus and Cable and these other major X-Men characters who would be part of the X-Men movies if they came in as part of it? So it's like it left those, and those questions are now there as well, because that's Pietro Maximoff. Whether he is from the Fox universe, whether it's just a multiverse, whether it is actually her brother, like, because Darcy even makes the joke that she recast Pietro.
Yeah.
Regardless of what version it is, it's a tip of the hat to the X-Men movies, and it's a tip of the hat to that world. And I think Kevin Feige and his team are too smart to do that without an intent to it.
I agree. And you know, there's a philosophical theory. I think it's called Occam's razor, where it's basically like the simplest explanation is usually probably the right one.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think it probably is just their introduction of the multiverse.
I think
it's just there's
I think if we didn't
about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, the thing is, he seems to be under a power as well, because his personality wasn't like the personality in the Fox movies. But I think right now that's what's making it so ambiguous, and we don't know yet.
Yeah.
Because he did have a different type of personality. He was acting a little different from that Quicksilver. But at the same time, like, I very much feel like I would be questioning it a lot more, and I would be fan theorying the multiverse only if I didn't know we were doing the multiverse. The Doctor Strange was specifically doing that, and some of these Disney shows are specifically tying into that.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued. This Friday, the next episode drops, and we'll get a bit more of an explanation.
It's going to be bananas, dude. This next episode.
They're going to get a rating spike like nothing else of viewers for that episode.
After that drop on the last part of the episode 5, dude, where the heck are they going to go, man? Yeah. Where the heck are they going to go?
Oh, so can I also talk? I meant to mention it earlier when we were talking about. We kind of mentioned like the Captain Marvel scene from with the sword base. Monica Rambeau mentions an aerospace engineer.
Oh yeah,
that she knows about. The running theory.
She starts texting him.
Yeah, she starts texting him. Yeah, the running theory right now is the aerospace engineer is Reed Richards.
All right, I will say this.
The running theory, which, you know.
All right, in the Spanish, this is how deep I'm going into figuring out Easter eggs. In the Spanish, like subtitles of this episode, there's a feminine article given to that aerospace engineer. Just FYI.
Why are you going into the Spanish freaking stuff, man? Dude.
All right, so I'm just saying, I personally don't think it's Reed Richards, because I think that would be a very crappy way of introducing him.
Maybe it's Sue.
It could be, yeah, you're right. It could be Sue. I think that's a very crappy way, underhanded way of introducing.
But that's a running theory out there. Like, I've heard people talking about them coming in via Sword before the show ever aired. I heard that being a theory of like they would introduce Sword. Sword is a space-faring organization. They send people to space. Sword eventually has their own satellite above Earth. You have to have them somehow get to space to get their powers.
Well, also
that's like integral for Fantastic Four.
there is a possible nod to a handful of astronauts that were lost in the blip. It's an episode, like, I forgot. It's when the blip happens. So which one is that? That's episode 4. So where the director is talking to Monica Rambeau, and he's talking about how we lost some astronauts in the blip.
Yeah.
So there's I mean, that could
So
be
like,
a callback to them too.
are there astronauts still up there stuck, and it turns out to be them?
Yeah.
Because the honest truth is, like, I know people are kind of iffy on the sword thing for them. I'm like, but think about it. You need to take what we know of the Fantastic Four, which we do know are coming. They are getting their movie in the MCU. It has been announced. But you have to take that, and you have to look at what makes sense in the MCU. Like Spider-Man, for example, being a protege of Tony Stark and following in his footsteps and getting his stuff from there and getting his start thanks to Stark.
Mm-hmm.
None of that is in the comic. None of that has ever been the backstory of Peter Parker.
But it makes perfect sense for the MCU.
But in the MCU, it makes sense. Same with everything. Everything in here you have to take. Like Civil War. It doesn't look like the Civil War comic, but you have to make it fit the MCU. Sword makes sense. Like, where are they going to get the money to go into space? Where are they going to get the money to have a ship that's going to come across these powers? I think it's a very possible theory. Is it a definite theory? No. 100% no. It could still go in any direction from here.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very possibility, made even stronger by the fact of we have a Fantastic Four movie coming out. So we could be laying some hints at something. Not necessarily, but it's a possibility.
I think we're a month or two, no more, out from hearing casting for Fantastic Four.
Oh, we better be.
Personally.
We better be.
And if I don't hear John Krasinski or Emily Blunt's name in a conversation, I'll flip my desk over.
Yeah, like, people are going to flip if they don't get casted. Because people have been fan casting them for like how many years now?
Dude, they're perfect. They're literally perfect.
I just want to get John Krasinski in the MCU. I love John Krasinski. I know
him bickering because they're calling John Krasinski for some reason. I don't know why they say John Krasinski's already in the MCU, because they kind of act the same. I guess they had the same like sense of humor. I guess, but just seeing John Krasinski play off other people in the MCU would be awesome for me.
Yeah, and to see him take on a role like Reed Richards would actually be amazing.
Yeah, because I don't think he's played anything.
That's
like that
not
before.
his typical role, and I'm like, but we've seen him do stuff like playing Jack Ryan in the Amazon series, or playing like the dad character in The Quiet Place. We've seen him expanding his acting repertoire, and
he has the chops.
And the guy was in the running for Captain America at one point as well. So like, I want to see him delve into that, because Reed can be. How do you get this arrogant jackass of a scientist who's literally got a bigger mind than anyone else on the planet and still keep him sympathetic?
Exactly.
So I'm excited. I think we're going to start to see X-Men crossover, hopefully start to hint at the Fantastic Four. All of this stuff is possibilities. The one thing we know for certain is where WandaVision's going, it is going to tie into Doctor Strange. Whether or not he shows up in the next few episodes, goodness knows. Anything's possible at this point.
There's a symbiotic relationship between WandaVision, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange. Like, they all kind of tie in together.
And Loki as well is going to tie in.
And Loki, yeah.
Literally all 4 of those have been talked about, that they're all going to tie in together to the multiverse idea. So,
because Doctor Strange is going to be in Spider-Man, my understanding.
Yeah, he's been officially announced as in Spider-Man. The other Spider-Men that everyone keep thinking are showing up for Spider-Verse haven't been confirmed yet, but Doctor Strange has. So,
well, I mean, what's his face? Alfred Molina, and I think the dude who played Hobgoblin, what's his name? William Dafoe. He's been. I'm pretty sure he's been confirmed as well. So
yeah, they've confirmed a bunch of people like that. So it's like we're definitely getting some multiverse tie-ins for it. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. So, but yeah, I think I've been really enjoying WandaVision.
Dude, this show is fantastic. I am enjoying it way more than I thought I would.
Oh yeah, this was not like, I was excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier. I was excited for What If. I was definitely interested in Loki and the time travel aspect of it. WandaVision was so below my radar, and I even thought, why is that the show you kick off with? Why are you kicking off with that? Why not anything else? And I'm like, oh my goodness, I am so invested in this.
Yeah, I get it now.
I have never been this invested. It feels like forever, and I love just getting to talk Marvel again. I love getting to theorize about what's coming. I love to be able to get into all of that. I'm all for it.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah, this is awesome. What a time to be an MCU fan.
I know. Dude,
This is crazy.
I was happy the prime of my life was literally being able to start watching the MCU from like 2008 and getting to watch all the way through now.
Somebody mentioned something the other day, and I was like, holy crap. There have been characters that have been created in Marvel Comics after the MCU started.
Yeah.
Brand new characters. I was like, oh crap, I didn't even think about that. That's so true.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is. But I'm excited for what's to come. We've got so many Marvel movies coming this year, so many Disney Plus shows.
And we'll do a follow-up show on the last 4 episodes of WandaVision.
Yeah, so the next 4...
everything drops.
Yeah, so the next 4 episodes will probably take us into March. So probably start of March,
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and do that. But for the most part at the moment, yeah, I think that's kind of us for WandaVision today.
Yeah,
I
man.
think we've...
Thank you guys for stopping by. This was a ton of fun.
Thank you for stopping
Super
by.
active chat.
Thank you for everyone that's been involved, that's been chatting, that's been sharing, for the gifted subs and the hosts, and you've all been absolute legends. Remember, coming up later this month, next week, I think we're actually going to be taking a Valentine's Day episode since it's the 14th. Since, going out and doing Valentine's Day stuff isn't a thing in a quarantine. But I'm thinking of, maybe next week we could do like a talking about our favourite couples in comics,
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
So I was thinking that could be an interesting one for next week. Following week, we'll be talking to Brainy Pixel and Mercy Way Studios about the upcoming Chronicles of David comic. Brannon felt like he was just here, but he's coming back for that. And then, of course, in our last episode of the month, we will be doing our Indie Comic Book Club, talking about Chew. So Go ahead and pick that up there. Goop says, I watched the whole thing and I had no idea what you were talking about. Get on our
level. Are you
level.
talking about our stream?
It's like, get on our level, dude. Get on our level. Frostbite saying, great talk, guys. If you want to keep the conversation going about this, about WandaVision, about theories, about anything to do with Marvel, DC, any other comic book stuff, films, TV, go ahead and follow us on Discord. Give us a follow over there. We want you to be part of the conversations. And we also want to get you involved in the suggestions for the show. Suggestions like, if we were going to get you supporting us on Patreon, what exclusives would you like to see? Do you want to see the review things done there? On top of that as well, what do you want to see for our 12-hour stream, and how would you like to get involved with that? What stuff would you like to see taking place? Let us know. Remember to check out Gamer Grind Co. there. Use Comics in the Cross at checkout to save 5%. You can also financially help the channel over on our Patreon, or follow any of this. If you missed any of this episode or any of our other episodes, head over to our YouTube and follow us there. Alright. I always feel weird plugging stuff. I feel like I want to rush it out because I'm like, I don't like saying, hey, go and do all this stuff for us. I'm like,
here, support us, give us your money.
But like, our community is so amazing. Like, we are like shy of, like, 12 people, I think, at this point, of 300 followers on Twitch, which
it's awesome.
Blows my mind completely. You guys are absolutely amazing. Everyone that showed up for the chat today, thank you so much. Thank you so much as well. And remember as well, I will be back tomorrow night, before I forget to mention that as well, 10:30 Eastern. And I'm going to be delving into some more crossplay, looking at Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Hey, Rusty Crown, how's it going, brother? Thank you for popping in. We're actually just about to wrap up and go and raid someone. But you can catch the video on demand. We're talking about WandaVision today and just the first 5 episodes and our theories of where it's going and what's coming. Alright, let me... Oh, I've got that up on the wrong page. Let me delve over to Twitch and see who's there so we can drop them a raid. I should know who's streaming on Sundays by now. I've raided enough people. Can we go raid Good Kid Dad, because he's back. He took a little bit of time off, but it's starting to build up again.
Still can't get over that cameo, dude.
I know, man. I know. It's like, it's completely...
That's like world shattering in a positive way.
Oh yeah, it's just completely, it's mind blowing, dude, just for it to be there. And like, I'm excited to see where they go with it. Yeah, let's go get Kid Dad, because I can't see many other people on. Alright. Yeah, no problem, lads. Thank you for showing up and listening to us. I mean, we've had a good, 15 plus viewers for most of this chat today, so thank you for everyone that stuck around and listened to us and gotten involved. It means the world to us. Honestly, it does. Thank you so much for everything you'll do. So yeah, I'm going to head over. We're going to put in for a raid. But definitely join us on our Discord, on our social medias. just because we want to keep the conversation going. We have an amazing community over here. We love all of you guys, and we want to keep that conversation going. Thanks for the hype there, Frostbite. But yeah, make sure you join us again tomorrow night, and then we'll be back with our next podcast on next Sunday. But hang around, show Kid Dad some love, show him some appreciation over there, and we will see you all tomorrow and then
see you
next
guys.
week.
Thanks for stopping by.
Excelsior.